Okay, a very good morning to our speakers. Okay, Dr. EEDA Haji Ali and Architect Wong Taek Yong. Both of the speakers, prominent speakers, who are very experienced in the housings. Okay, thank you for joining our lecture input for our M.ARCH Pesisir students. Okay, so today's lecture input is series number 3 and 4. All the students, okay, welcome to the lecture input, and please ask your friends to join in as well. This is a public lecture input. Who anyone who are interested regarding to the housing, please join in. Yeah, we have 1 hour for each of the speakers to deliver their thoughts regarding to the housing. Okay, so let me introduce our speakers for number 1. Okay, we have your partial Dr. Ida Haji Ali. Okay, she is currently working as a senior lecturer at University Technology Mara, Sri Iskandar Perak campus, and she got her PhD in Urban and Regional Planning and Master of Science in Housing from UTM. She is the professional members of institutions of Geospatial and Remote Sensing Malaysia IGRSM, and graduate members of Malaysian Institute of Planners MIP and Lembaga Perancang Bandar Malaysia LPBM. Her expertise is solid waste management, solid waste minimizations, land use and physical planning, sustainable planning and development, social planning, housing, recreational planning, sustainability, urban mobility, land administrations and development. So welcomes our Geospatial Dr. Ida Haji Ali, okay, in today's morning session. She's going to deliver her topics on the directions of housing developments, okay, or Hala 7 Pembangunan Perumahan, especially for our MBS 1019 students. This is very useful for you guys. For thesis and urban student, this is also a very good knowledge, okay, for you guys in order for you to develop in your designs and the other subject as well. Okay, so without further ado, yeah, let us welcome Geospatial Dr. Ida Ali. Okay, Dr. Ida, the floor is yours.
Okay, very good morning and thank you for Dr. Moderator, and morning to the second speaker, Architect Wong Taek Yong, and to all the students. Okay, this morning I will deliver in Bahasa Malaysia. Sorry, okay.
No issue, Dr. Ida. Yeah.
So I'm from UITM Perak branch, campus Sri Iskandar. Okey, pagi ni saya akan menerangkan hala 7 pembangunan perumahan. Okey, hala 7 ni merupakan dasar, strategi atau prinsip untuk pembangunan perumahan. So segala stakeholder ataupun pemegang taruh akan mengadakan garis panduan supaya segala jenis pembangunan perumahan perlu diselarikan dengan hala 7 yang telah digariskan oleh kerajaan. Untuk pengetahuan pelajar, semua sektor termasuk sektor perumahan, pengangkutan, industri, komersial, semua mempunyai hala 7 yang telah diberikan oleh pihak kerajaan mengikut 3 kategori, iaitu peringkat negara, peringkat negeri dan juga peringkat daerah. Daerah ini bermaksud di dalam kawalan atau pihak berkuasa tempatan. Okay. Seperti yang saya maklumkan tadi, hala 7 ini berpandukan kepada macam mana kerajaan memperolehi ataupun membuat hala 7 ini. Ia berpandukan kepada permasalahan yang wujud daripada masyarakat, daripada berbagai stakeholder, bagi mematuhi apa yang telah digariskan oleh pihak kerajaan mengikut 3 kategori tadi, supaya ia mencapai matlamat dan objektif yang dihasratkan oleh kerajaan. Jadi beberapa prinsip hala tuju pembangunan perumahan dibangunkan. Ada 3 kategori, iaitu peringkat pertama adalah arah 1, iaitu perancangan nasional. Okey. Ia adalah di peringkat rancangan Malaysia, rancangan fizikal negara, dan juga dasar, dasar yang berkaitan dengan perumahan, iaitu dasar perbandaran, dan juga dasar perumahan, dan berbagai lagi yang berkaitan dengan perumahan. Jadi dia punya pengerusi di sini adalah terdiri dari Perdana Menteri kita, dengan kementerian yang berkaitan dengan perumahan. Mereka akan berbincang untuk membuat dasar dan strategi di peringkat negara, nasional. Kemudian balik pada aras 2, iaitu peringkat yang kedua, iaitu perancangan negeri. Ia berbentuk rancangan struktur. Rancangan struktur setiap negeri. Setiap negeri mempunyai rancangan struktur dia sendiri. Dia berdasarkan, dia diterjemahkan daripada perancangan nasional. Jadi dibawa balik kepada peringkat negeri yang diketuai oleh Menteri Besar setiap negeri. Jadi mereka membuat perancangan berdasarkan perancangan nasional, tetapi dimuatkan ataupun disistematik balik bergantung kepada masyarakat dia, penduduk negeri tersebut. Jadi yang ketiga adalah perancangan tempatan, iaitu rancangan tempatan daerah. Rancangan tempatan daerah ni adalah detail daripada strategi negeri dan juga dasar negara. Jadi rancangan tempatan ni dia lebih detail. Maksud saya di sini, di manakah lokasinya perumahan, apakah yang perlu digadkan, contoh dari segi dalam bangunan, ditetapkan berapa bilik dia minima, saiz dia, semua adalah di peringkat tempatan. Rancangan tempatan dia ada 3 jilid, iaitu pertama dia mengatakan cadangan, yang kedua garis panduan. Garis panduan ni dia ada dimaksudkan perumahan di dalam bangunan dan juga garis panduan perumahan di luar bangunan. Contoh di luar bangunan seperti kemudahan awam, dewan, surau dan sebagainya. Okey. Dalam tiga peringkat ini, kerajaan telah perlu ada sistem pelaksanaan. Dia memantau, dia implement dan memantau. Ini adalah 3 proses yang menjadikan setiap stakeholder menggariskan dia sebagai hala tuju pembangunan yang akan dibuat, termasuk juga pembangunan perumahan. Hala tuju perumahan perlu mengambil kira aspek dan memberi perhatian kepada aspek yang penting, iaitu kecukupan. Itu adalah penting. Yang pertama. Dan mampu milik. Mampu milik mengikut jenis yang telah ditetapkan. Jenis perumahan kos rendah, kos sederhana rendah, kos sederhana, dan juga kos tinggi. Keselamasan, keselesaan. Keselesaan ini dia bergantung kepada di dalam bangunan, di dalam rumah dan di luar rumah. Kebersihan, kejiranan dan pembentukan komuniti mampan. Bagi pertama, stage yang pertama saya cakap tadi, rancangan fizikal negara, dia telah termaktub di dalam Akta 172, iaitu Akta Perancangan Tempatan, perlu disediakan oleh Ketua Pengarah Perancangan Bandar apabila diarahkan oleh majlis. Maknanya diketuai oleh Perdana Menteri dalam membuatkan rancangan fizikal negara yang meliputi Semenanjung Malaysia saja kepada majlis bagi kelulusannya, iaitu di bawah bahagian 2B, section 6B, subsection 1. Okay. Di sini diwajibkan peruntukan bagi penyediaan rancangan fizikal negara, rancangan dasar perumahan negara dasar perbandaran negara mengikut tempoh yang ditetapkan. Kebiasaannya yang paling baik adalah maksimum adalah 15 tahun, tetapi bergantung kepada ahli majlis. Ini adalah kerana 15 tahun kalau kita lebih, ia akan tidak up to date punya masalah di ground. Maka ia telah ditetapkan sebaik-baiknya 15 tahun. Okay. Okay. Apakah dasar yang ada di peringkat negara dalam mengikut 2022 sekarang, ia pakai rancangan Malaysia ke-12. Saya masuk di sini kepada perumahan, iaitu di dalam rancangan Malaysia ke-12, penumpuan kepada penyediaan perumahan, menyediakan perumahan mampu milik. Sekarang ni tidak ada lagi perumahan kos rendah. Ia lebih kepada perumahan mampu milik semenjak 2020 punya dasar. Mampu milik ini bergantung walaupun kos rendah tapi mengikut negeri. Negeri ada yang masih memakai kos rendah, tetapi pada Lembah Kelang tidak ada kos rendah dan ia ditukar kepada mampu milik yang mencukupi dan berkualiti kepada isi rumah miskin, berpendapatan rendah dan sederhana. Okey. Yang kedua, dalam dasar ini menggalakkan kemudahan mesra alam sekitar untuk meningkatkan persekitaran yang berdaya huni. Maksudnya di sini, pertama, ia lebih kepada kualiti kepada kuantiti rumah tersebut, iaitu kualiti kepada rumah sebuah rumah. Contohnya di dalam rumah. Dasar ini adalah berbentuk umum. Sebab itulah peringkat kedua, rancangan struktur negeri memperjelaskan dasar ini. Dia lebih detail lagi. Ni peringkat ini adalah umum lagi. Tetapi dasar kerajaan negara hanya mengatakan mesti ada perumahan mampu milik, cukupi dan berkualiti. Berkualiti ni seperti yang saya maksudkan tadi, berkualiti dari segi dalaman bangunan dan juga di luar bangunan. Dalam bangunan contoh design, di manakah peletakan dia, keluasan yang orang kata berpatutan lah, maknanya berpatutan dengan dia punya kualiti, dia punya harga dan sebagainya. Okay. Jadi strategi ini akan dicapai, dasar ini akan dicapai melalui pengukuhan rangka kerja kawasia dan kerjasama dalam kalangan masyarakat dan stakeholder. Macam mana nak capai kedua-kedua ni? Mesti ada kerjasama antara kita sebagai stakeholder dan juga dengan kalangan masyarakat. Sebab tu berbagai-bagai research telah dibuat bagi mengenal pasti apakah kehendak masyarakat dan juga apakah research juga dibuat dari sudut perspektif stakeholder juga supaya ia mendapat keserasian. Kita tidak memikirkan satu pihak tetapi kita memikirkan semua pihak di peringkat dasar perancangan. Okey, yang kedua adalah rancangan fizikal negara ketiga. Untuk 2022 kita pakai yang terkini RFN 3. Di dalam ini menciptakan dasar untuk membangunkan perumahan secara mampan. Telah diberikan penekanan malah telah menjadi prinsip dan matlamat utama dalam perancangan spasial dan guna tanah pada masa hadapan. Sisi mampan iaitu dari segi penggunaan GBI, dari segi penggunaan peletakan tingkap bagaimana, material dan sebagainya bentuk pada bangunan. Jadi yang kedua adalah keperluan menilai dan membekal keperluan perumahan pada masa hadapan berdasarkan permintaan sebenar isi rumah. Ini adalah dari segi permintaan lah, dia sama dengan rancangan Malaysia kedua, dia tegaskan lagi, dia tekankan lagi mengenai dasar tersebut berapa pentingnya isi rumah dan juga kepentingan dan berkualiti. Dia bahagikan kat sini pada jenis pemilikan mengikut kategori yang saya kata tadi, kos rendah, kos dana rendah dan sebagainya. Jenis rumah ditekankan lagi dalam reka bentuk. Reka bentuk ini adalah di dalam dan di luar harga dan pilihan lokasi. Maknanya di peringkat negara telah termaktub dasar yang mengatakan kita sebagai stakeholder perlu menekankan kepada perumahan di dalam dan di luar. Okay. Dan yang seterusnya dasar pemandaran. Dia ada lagi dasar di peringkat negara iaitu dasar pemandaran. Dari dasar pemandaran dia kata persekitaran bandar yang kondusif dan sejahtera serta beridentiti. Jadi kat sini beridentiti ni bermaksud walaupun berbagai jenis rumah perlu ada identiti dia. Menunjukkan identiti dia. Jadi dekat sini identiti dia lebih mesra. Mesra pengguna. Maknanya di dalam rumah perlu memikirkan mesra terhadap family, keluarga dan sebagainya. Kemudian di luar rumah, kemudahan perumahan yang mencukupi perlu disediakan berasaskan keperluan penduduk seperti kemudahan masjid, dewan dan sebagainya. Dan di dalam dasar ini juga memperkatakan berbagai jenis dan kategori rumah mampu milik dan mampu bayar sekiranya bentuk berkualiti. Dia tekankan lagi berkualiti di dalam dan di luar. Macam mana arkitek menjalankan reka bentuk dalaman dari segi ruang, peletakan dan sebagainya. Dan seterusnya adalah dasar perumahan negara. Juga menekankan supaya menyediakan perumahan yang mencukupi, selesa, berkualiti lagi ditekankan, selesa dan mampu dimiliki bagi meningkatkan kemampanan hidup rakyat. Menyediakan perumahan yang mencukupi dan berkualiti dengan kemudahan yang lengkap dan persekitaran yang kondusif. Jadi di peringkat dasar, di peringkat negara ini, kesemua-semua rancangan pemajuan, tak kira RFN, dasar pembandaran, semua benda yang sama ditekankan terhadap supaya kondusif, sejahtera, dia kata berkualiti dalam reka bentuk dan sebagainya. Di sini telah merupakan hala tuju kita. Kita kena buat supaya mencapai apa hasrat kerajaan. Okey. Kalau ada persoalan boleh je masuk Jadi seterusnya di peringkat negeri. Okey. Di peringkat negeri tadi begitu dasar, begitu luas. Jadi rancangan struktur negeri ia lebih kepada negeri Pahang, negeri Perak, negeri Johor dan sebagainya memperincikan dasar tersebut. Di dalam rancangan struktur negeri ini ada berbagai juga sektor yang memperincikan dasar. Dia lebih kepada strategi. Nanti saya akan bagi contoh bagaimanakah strategi untuk perancangan perumahan. Ia dibuat mengikut kehendak ataupun kepuasan penduduk bagi negeri. Macam manakah cara dia buat rancangan struktur ini? Sebelum dia buat rancangan struktur dan juga rancangan tempatan, langkah dia adalah proses adalah sama. Dia mulakan dengan publicity. Setiap negeri dia akan adakan publicity, dia announcekan di dalam surat khabar, diwajibkan dalam Akta 172 kena announce sekurang-kurangnya 2 surat khabar. Sekarang pun dalam online pun kena, semua sekarang surat khabar dalam online, dan mengatakan bila tarikh publicity tersebut dan semua penduduk diwajibkan kita pergi ke rumah, kita bagi template, pamphlet dan sebagainya untuk hadir ke publicity. Kita maklumkan di publicity itu apakah masalah mereka. Mereka pun dimaklumkan dari segi sektor perumahan, dari sektor pengangkutan, semua ada. So penduduk boleh mengutarakan permasalahan mereka. Jadi di peringkat ini, siapa yang mengubarkan rancangan struktur negeri ini perlulah talikan dasar dengan publicity, dengan permasalahan penduduk itu supaya digariskan strategi seiring dengan kehendak masyarakat. Selepas rancangan struktur ini telah siap, sebelum diwartakan, juga perlu ada publicity. Supaya cadangan-cadangan yang berdasarkan masalah tadi itu, penduduk akan semak balik dan tengok apakah kehendak mereka telah digariskan dalam rancangan struktur ini dan juga rancangan tempatan. Jika tidak ada ataupun mereka tidak rasa puas hati, mereka boleh membuatkan bantahan. ataupun cadangan, dan ada satu struktur ataupun organisasi yang akan menjalankan kajian dan semak semula cadangan daripada masyarakat. Itu di peringkat rancangan struktur. Okey. Ini rancangan tempatan sama juga, dia adalah di bawah Akta 172 iaitu Seksyen 12 Subseksyen 1, pihak berkuasa penempatan semasa suatu draft perancangan struktur sedang disediakan atau sebelum pihak berkuasa negeri memberikan persetujuan mengenai suatu draft rancangan struktur, dia difikirkan wajar menyedia suatu draft rancangan tempatan. Maknanya setiap PBT wajib menyedia rancangan tempatan berdasarkan strategi yang diberi oleh rancangan struktur RSN. Kena seiring. Proses dia lebih kurang sama, cuma perbezaan dia adalah tempoh masa. Tempatan lebih pendek daripada negeri. So dekat sini ia lebih detail. Tadi dia tidak ada nombor lot yang dicadangkan dan sebagainya. Tetapi tempatan ni katakan dia nak buat rumah seperti yang saya jelaskan tadi, rumah mampu milik di mana, di lot berapa, di mukim apa dan di daerah apa. Berapa keluasan dia. Dan berapa keluasan tu kena ada berapa unit. Dan di dalam unit tersebut, apakah guideline yang telah ditetapkan. Contoh guideline yang ditetapkan adalah keluasan rumah tersebut. Kalau apartmen, berapa keluasan? Dia ada satu lagi jilid 2. Kat situ merupakan garis panduan. Dekat situ dia kata, okey, rumah untuk mampu milik, keluasan dia 800 kaki persegi, contoh. Ataupun rumah teres, berapa? Dan perlu ada fire break berapa? Ini jika PBT tidak mengguna pakai garis panduan yang ditetapkan oleh Plan Malaysia. Sebab di dalam pentadbiran Malaysia, setiap negeri mempunyai kuasa untuk membuat garis panduan tersendiri. Contoh kita ada garis panduan bagi daerah ataupun dalam pihak berkuasa MBSA, MPPJ, Petaling Jaya, Majlis Bandaran Subang Jaya. Tetapi ia kena justifikasi dibentangkan di peringkat Majlis Persatuan Negeri. Jadi jika PBT yang tidak ada ataupun yang selalunya dia bukan bandaraya lah, dia di dalam perbandaran ataupun daerah, dia masih mengguna pakai garis panduan yang ditetapkan oleh Plan Malaysia. Saya percaya arkitek juga mempunyai garis panduan dia tersendiri bagi membuat pembangunan ataupun reka bentuk perumahan. Begitu juga dengan perancang bandar. Tapi ia boleh terpulang kepada PBT mengeluarkan garis panduan tersendiri. Sebab dia adalah berbeza. Sebab contoh Shah Alam, dia kena sendiri sebab kawasan dia dah padat. Dia tidak boleh mengguna pakai seperti mana yang daerah. Daerah memang kalau kita tengok kalau misalnya contoh keluasan perumahan apartmen daripada minima ataupun kos rendah minima 650 kaki persegi, kita tidak boleh buat di kawasan daerah. Contoh Perak Tengah ataupun di Pontian dah katakan kan. Dia adalah berbeza. Dia kena besar sikit 850 dan sebagainya. Dia ikut pihak kuasa PBT tersebut. Okay. Jadi ini adalah strategi bagi macam mana mencapai dasar, iaitu pertama, penawaran yang sentiasa mencukupi. Itu yang wajiblah. Maknanya penawaran mengikut permintaan. Memastikan penyediaan berbagai jenis rumah berdasarkan mampu milik dan mampu bayar. Ini adalah strategi yang pertama. Jadi inilah kita kawalkan saiz dia sebenarnya. Sebab kita nak bergantung kepada harga dia. Saiz dan dia punya, tapi masih kriteria di dalam perumahan dan juga di luar perumahan masih perlu ada sama je dengan sekiranya dengan kos sederhana dan sebagainya. Contoh minima dia 3 bilik, kalau MBSA Shah Alam masih memakaikan 3 bilik, dan juga kedudukan dia, dia adalah dia punya guideline sistem pengudaraan dia yang telah diguideline-kan oleh MBSA, PBT. Okay. Yang kedua, pembangunan yang bersifat self-contained dan bercampur. Okay. Strategi yang terkini, dia kena ada kemudahan berkualiti, dia dapat dikongsi dan diguna pakai oleh semua lapisan penduduk dalam komuniti. Sekarang ni pembangunan dia lebih kepada lembah kelang ataupun kawasan bandar-bandar, dia lebih bersifat self-contained. Maknanya dia adalah di dalam satu kawasan mempunyai semua kemudahan ataupun tempat kerja dan sebagainya supaya tidak kurang melibatkan pengangkutan dan sebagainya. Yang ketiga, persekitaran tempat tinggal yang selamat, kondusif, selesa dan mesra guna. Ini saya rasa mungkin lebih kepada architecture supaya mereka bentuk dia selesa, kondusif dan mesra pengguna. Pengguna perlu menyediakan ruang persekitaran yang selamat daripada pencemaran fizikal dan jenayah. Ini lebih kepada luaran persekitaran. Tetapi struktur rumah juga, material perlu diberi untuk keselesaan lah. Okay. Strategi seterusnya, alam sekitar sebenarnya yang terpelihara. Maknanya ini lebih kepada persekitaran, iaitu pemeliharaan topografi supaya tidak berlaku seperti sekarang, kebanyakannya adalah banjir kilat dan sebagainya. Jadi pemilikan dia, reka bentuk dia, aliran, terutama aliran peparitan dan sebagainya. Kemudian budaya kebersihan dan mencari keindahan. Maknanya persekitaran yang bersih supaya keselesaan dan keharmonian. Kebanyakan ni adalah daripada luar bangunan. Yang seterusnya menggalakkan kemesraan dan interaksi sosial. So macam mana design tu, kebanyakannya design dalam luar perumahan tu, kalau kami dari segi perancang bandar, kita tidak boleh memikirkan berkonsepkan lebih kepada design macam privacy, macam cul-de-sac, kami tidak menggalakkanlah, tetapi untuk keseimbangan antara pemaju dengan permintaan, ada certain yang kami longgarkan, pihak PBT longgarkan, tidak boleh melebihi 20% design berbentuk privacy dan sebagainya. Okey, prinsip pula. Prinsip ini adalah menerap, memantap dan mencapai bagi strategi dan dasar di atas. Okay. Prinsip yang pertama adalah penawaran perumahan. Seperti yang saya maklum tadi, ia mencukupi untuk mampu dimiliki dan mengambil kira permintaan sebenar. Ini adalah segi permintaan dan penawaran. Yang kedua adalah intensiti pembangunan. Ini saya cakap tadi yang seperti yang detail daripada strategi di atas, iaitu berbentuk mixed use, berkebatan tinggi dan berorientasi transit, tapi bukan semua kawasan. Ia hanya berbentuk kepada kawasan yang padat, berkapasiti tinggi. Contohnya adalah di kawasan bandaraya yang mengguna pakai sekarang, Shah Alam, KL, saya percaya juga Johor Bahru, dan juga yang akan mengikuti sekarang ada banyak mengguna pakai ini adalah di kawasan Penang. Okay. Kemudian binaan bangunan perumahan. Ini saya teruslah kepada architecture bangunan perumahan ini perlu dipikir yang berkualiti, inovatif dan berkonsepkan bangunan hijau dan teknologi hijau. Mengguna pakai saya percaya ada Green Building Index yang telah dikeluarkan bagi garis panduan bagi pembangunan bangunan. Kalau macam di UiTM kita ada satu course ini dinamakan building survey. Building survey dia mempraktikkan bahan binaan ini. Kita ada lab menentukan uji kaji setiap bangunan yang dikeluarkan ataupun kami juga ada projek luar yang menggabungkan perancang bandar, arkitek landscape, semua di dalam satu fakulti di dalam menguji kaji sebenarnya prinsip ni. Kita ada satu contoh kawasan yang ditetapkan oleh MRCB, Majlis MRCB, dan kami uji kaji dari segi semua prinsip-prinsip yang ini. Dalam binaan bangunan pun kami akan uji kaji dia punya reka bentuk dalaman rumah dan sebagainya. Kemudian seterusnya adalah susun atur pembangunan. Ini di luar. Berkonsepkan juga sama seiring dengan binaan bangunan, iaitu berbentuk kejiranan hijau, selamat dan bebas daripada ancaman jenayah. Seperti yang telah dikeluarkan guideline oleh Plan Malaysia, ada buku dia sendiri bagaimana garis panduan untuk bandar selamat ataupun kejiranan selamat. Kita perlu ada contoh dia, ada lane kereta. Kemudian kena ada bolat dulu, saya tak tahu apa ni, kita ada bolat yang tu supaya tidak menggalakkan kes jenayah. Kemudian kalau kita ada pejalan kaki, dan juga kita perlu ada satu lagi guideline terbaru yang belum dikeluarkan, saya tengah buat research, iaitu selepas bolat dia ada green sikit, bukan green macam apa, tanam pokok yang berbentuk dia punya sukatan adalah lebih kurang daripada, saya tak ingat, tapi lebih kurang daripada bawah daripada pinggang. Maknanya kita tak atas supaya boleh melihatlah sebarang jenayah masa penduduk melakukan riadah, jogging, ataupun berbasikal dan sebagainya. Mungkin selain daripada itu, ia lebih merupakan image lah, image identity, landscape supaya penduduk lebih gemar melakukan aktiviti. Kita banyakkan green, dia punya kemudahan dan sebagainya. Kemudian yang seterusnya adalah kemudahan awam. Perlu mencukupi, berkualiti, mudah akses, mesra pengguna. Terutama sekarang ni, kita nak design perlulah memikirkan macam mana OKU, kehendak OKU, kehendak warga mas, kanak-kanak. Kadang-kadang walaupun saya tengok dekat sini, kadang-kadang saya membawa ibu saya untuk ziarah dia punya keluarga, tetapi untuk menolak wheelchair tersebut, dia boleh jalan tetapi kita memudahkan dia wheelchair tersebut. Kadang-kadang ada, tapi tidak, orang kata linkages dia punya link tu tidak kesampaian lah, dia kadang-kadang dia stop pada situ saja. Ini adalah design bagi kawasan kapasiti tinggi, contoh apartmen, kondominium dan sebagainya. Sebenarnya semua telah digaris panduan yang telah dimaklumkan. Jadi kita sebagai stakeholder perlu memegang segala dasar-dasar ini untuk kita punya design dan sebagainya. Dan seterusnya sistem perhubungan. Kita nak galakkan pengangkutan awam. Sekarang ni kritikal di kawasan pusat bandar, contohnya pengangkutan awam ni merupakan kesesakan lah, dengan tidak mencukupi TLK, berbagai-bagai dasar. Di BKL, Dewan Bandar Kuala Lumpur telah buat, begitu juga Bandaraya Shah Alam, tetapi tidak kesampaian. Kita tidak ke arah penggunaan berbasikal ataupun ni, sebab mungkin dari segi persekitaran, peletakan, reka bentuk dan sebagainya. So kena fikir bagaimana minimumkan orang menggunakan kenderaan sendiri dan lebih meningkatkan penggunaan awam. Dan last sekali adalah komuniti, kejayaan yang berinteraksi, mesra, sejahtera, sihat dan aktif. Maknanya mereka suka tinggal di situ dari segi reka bentuk dalaman dan juga reka bentuk persekitaran. Jadi bila mereka mesra, mereka akan menjaga dia punya kejiranan, dan secara tidak langsung ia boleh mengelakkan aktiviti jenayah, sebab kita kenal antara jiran, kita sayang dengan tempat tinggal kita, dan kita boleh menjaga ia sendiri daripada mengharapkan gated ke dan sebagainya. Dan inilah disimpulkan ataupun telah diberi oleh contohnya EEDA dan juga Plan Malaysia pun telah menggariskan 3 peringkat ini daripada terjemahan di atas, iaitu dasar yang pertama adalah dasar bersepadu. Dia dasar bersepadu itu dia ambil kira dasar sebab menyeluruh, dia cuma ada 3 besar, iaitu mencukupi, adequate, affordable, mampu bilik, dan quality. Quality ni saya maklumkan tadi, ini adalah kita dalam segi reka bentuk. Di peringkat dasar bersepadu. Dasar macam mana dia nak dasar bersepadu. Kemudian yang kedua, alignment daripada dasar di atas, iaitu strategi komuniti sejahtera. Strategi untuk menyampaikan kualiti di atas, kebanyakannya adalah berbentuk well managed. Macam mana kita nak buat supaya pengurusan lebih cekap, aktif, menjadikan penduduk lebih aktif. Aktif yang tadi tu bila dia mesra, dia suka duduk, dari segi reka bentuk perumahan dia bagus, dia jadi mesra dan dia aktif, dia dari segi komuniti dan sebagainya. Well designed, comprehensive, sensitive to the environment, safe and well connected. Okay? Ini ada strategi supaya kita buat supaya komuniti sejahtera. Ini mengambil kira kebanyakannya beberapa stakeholder, seperti planning ada di sini, architecture ada, supaya kita mencapai strategi. Dan seterusnya adalah prinsip-prinsip reka bentuk. Menterjemahkan reka bentuk perumahan dan kejiranan. Kena ada identiti. Dari segi design, kita perlu adakan identiti. Community. Macam mana dia orang nak berkomunikasi. Okay? Social needs. Kita kena tahu apa dia punya social need. Amenity, environmentality sensitive, dan juga safety and security. So saya saya simpulkan di atas, maknanya usaha kerajaan bagi menggalakkan dia punya hala tuju memang dah ada. Kat dasar, strategi dan juga prinsip. Tapi bagaimana sesuatu jabatan ataupun macam contoh saya lah, Jabatan Perancang Bandar, mendetailkan daripada apa yang telah digariskan oleh kerajaan. Saya dari segi perancang bandar, kita ada sendiri, seperti yang saya maklumkan, garis panduan. Kena ikut. Garis panduan di peringkat perancang bandar mempunyai sebanyak 36 garis panduan. Dia lebih detail. Contoh garis panduan macam mana nak design OKU. Lagi satu garis panduan macam mana kita nak design taman di atas bumbung. Garis panduan berbasikal. Dan garis panduan perumahan pun ada. Dari segi kemudahan sosial pun ada. Contoh kemudahan sosial ni, kalau ada 400 unit rumah, dia kena ada satu surau. Kalau ada penduduk melebihi 8,000 penduduk, dia kena ada sekolah rendah. Ini telah ditetapkan dan kami perlu buat. Tetapi jika kawasan PBT itu terlampau padat, dan dia boleh keluarkan guideline sendiri, bergantung pada lokasi dia, pentadbiran dia. Jadi benda ni perlu dibawa kepada mesyuarat negeri, mesyuarat tempatan, sebelum diendoskan oleh PBT yang tersendiri tadi, yang merancangkan tersendiri tadi. Jadi bolehlah pelajar memikirkan bagaimana untuk menerapkan reka bentuk dan sebagainya di dalam apa yang telah digariskan oleh kerajaan. Ataupun hala tuju, menjadikan you punya hala tuju. Macam mana design yang perlu dibuat tu mencapai kualiti, kan, mencapai dia sebagai teknologi, mampan dan sebagainya. So dalam konteks perancangan fizikal, walaupun berbagai hala tuju, pendekatan dan peraturan perancangan diperkenalkan dilaksanakan, namun usaha untuk mencapai matlamat dan objektif-objektif perumahan masih belum sepenuhnya tercapai. Kita tidak boleh berdiri dengan sendirinya kita punya profesional. Kita kena bergabung supaya dapat mencapai apa saja dasar dan yang telah diberikan untuk hala tuju penggunaan supaya kita mencapai matlamat kerajaan. So kita tidak boleh berdiri dengan sendiri. Kita usaha lebih terbaik, tetapi kita jadikan dasar-dasar yang saya sebutkan tadi sebagai guideline kepada kita. Jadi antara sebab yang dikatakan tidak mencapai adalah dari segi penawaran perumahan yang tidak selaras dengan permintaan. Dia lebih banyak kita tengok sekarang ni, banyak yang ada dijual adalah kos tinggi, kos sederhana. Dia tidak link dengan permintaan. Sebab apa dia jadinya begini? Sebab ini adalah dikawal oleh tidak dikawal oleh SUK ataupun peringkat negeri. Cuma bagi segi perancang bandar, kami adakan kuota 40% mampu milik, sekarang tukar mampu milik, dan 20%, 30% adalah kos sederhana. Itu persen tu je lah yang dapat apa orang kata mematabatkan yang hala tuju tadi. Tetapi boleh dipinda, boleh dipinda jika layout tu dia luluskan dan dicuba jual, contoh yang sederhana tu tidak laku. Jadi dia boleh buat mengikut KTN, serah balik dan beri milik semula, supaya dalam section 137 supaya redesign balik, justifikasi oleh pemaju supaya dia redesign balik mengikut permintaan yang diminta, yang di mana dia tengoklah dia laku, sama ada kos tinggi dan sebagainya. Kebanyakannya kepada tinggilah pemaju. Ini adalah salah satu sebablah punca kenapa kita masih lemah. Kemudian yang kedua, reka bentuk sesuatu perumahan dan reka bentuk rumah masih bersifat konvensional, kurang kreatif dan mengabaikan pilihan topografi. Dari segi kita lah, topografi tu kadang-kadang kita kata tidak boleh, contohnya di kawasan tebing, tetapi kita masuk juga berdasarkan jumlah pembelian yang tidak serari dengan jualan oleh pemaju, dan kita cuba masuk dan kadang diluluskan. Itu dah kita punya kelemahan. Yang ketiga adalah penyediaan kemudahan masyarakat dan infrastruktur yang tidak mencukupi, kurang berkualiti dan ditempatkan di lokasi yang tidak strategik. Ini juga menjadi masalah kepada perancang bandar. Kalau pembangunan tu kecil, 3 ekar, 10 ekar, 15 ekar, dalam guideline kita tak perlu menyediakan sekolah, masjid, kan? Kecil-kecil. Tetapi bila kecil-kecil ni dicantumkan semua, 50 ekar, sepatutnya perlu disediakan sekolah. Tapi sebabkan dia punya penghantaran proses kebenaran tu berbentuk kecil-kecil, dia tidak perlu menyediakan social impact assessment, EIA, TIA. Jadi berlakulah sedikit permasalahan yang sedia ada lah. Kemudian sistem jalan raya dan perhubungan yang tidak menyeluruh, tidak selamat dan kurang pertimbangan kepada penyediaan ruang-ruang berjalan kaki dan berbasikal. Ini berlaku kepada, saya kata, pemenang merancang yang bentuk sikit-sikit. Sebab kita benarkan, dalam KTM kita benarkan pecahan bahagian. 50 ekar kita benarkan pecah kepada 34 ekar. 34 portion. Jadi mereka mensubmit portion yang kecil-kecil. Jadi inilah yang biasa berlaku dan kita perlulah mengkaji semula. Plan Malaysia telah membuat penyelidikan tetapi belum mendapat output dalam proses research. Yang seterusnya, penyediaan tanah lapang dan kawasan rekreasi yang kurang mencukupi. Ini pun sama, berlaku disebabkan pecahan bahagian, portion kecil-kecil dan sebagainya. So mereka tidak mengikut guideline. Dan kurang pertimbangan dalam reka bentuk sesuatu pembangunan. Ini kepada bangunan seperti saya katakan tadi, OKU, gemas dan kanak-kanak. Dan seterusnya adalah tindakan dan perubahan secara jangka panjang daripada peringkat perancangan forward planning sehinggalah ke peringkat pengawalan, pemantauan dan pelaksanaan perancangan. Kita tak ada pemantau. kita hanya buat, kan? Kita tak ada kawalan. Kita tidak, sebenarnya ada, kan? Tapi mungkinlah kita tidak secara terperinci. Sepatutnya ada sesuatu, saya cuma merancangkan kepada pihak berkuasa tempatan perlu wujud satu jabatan untuk memantau. Sekarang ni tidak ada. Sekarang ni hanya diserahkan kepada jabatan perancang ataupun mengikut jabatan dia. Jabatan architecture, bangunan, kan? Dia memantau dia. Tapi dia tidak ada membuat satu jabatan yang memantau secara keseluruhan. Kalau kita memantau bab departmen-departmen ni, kita tidak nampak secara keseluruhan. Segitulah isu tidak akan berakhir. Dan ini adalah saya tengoklah daripada kajian yang telah dibuat, contoh reka bentuk ruang, dia meninjau tahap Ismail, Muhyiddin dan Daud ni, dia meninjau tahap kepuasan dan kesejahteraan penghuni di perumahan kos rendah di Malaysia. Tujuan dia bagaimana seni bina boleh menghalang tahap tekanan di kalangan penghuni. Cuma penemuan di sini, dia dapat ini adalah segelintir lah daripada kajian dia. Dia mengatakan susu atur tandas tidak memuaskan dengan kedudukan yang jauh dari bilik air. Dan penghuni terpaksa melintasi ruang tamu dan dapur. Kadang-kadang kita bergantung kepada keagamaan. Kadang-kadang kita perlu menutup lah, macam Islam menutup aurat daripada bilik air ke bilik tidur. Sebab kita ada jantina yang berbeza, benda-benda tu akan melakukan sumbang mahram dan sebagainya. Bagi saya, walaupun sekarang ni kalau di MBSA telah mewajibkan bilangan tandas ni adalah paling minima 2. Minima 2. Yang kedua adalah manakala tandas tidak boleh diakses secara bebas dan ruang tidak diasingkan. Ini seperti saya lah, maknanya dia ada kesesaan yang terhad. Ini contohlah, contoh yang saya dapati. Dari segi contoh daripada kemudahan awam pun, dia tidak ada kualiti kehidupan yang sosial. Dia melakukan kesesakan, rimas di dalam macam mana dia nak pergi ke kemudahan awam tu. Isu jenayah, dia tidak fikirkan tentang keselamatan dan sebagainya. Maka kat sini dia adalah perkhidmatan yang kurang baik lah, yang perlu diambil, dan dia telah dibuat research mengatakan perlu memikir kepada kemudah sampaian terhadap kemudahan-kemudahan yang perlu disediakan. Dari segi kemudahan sampaian tu, dari segi yang tadilah OKU, warga emas, kanak-kanak dan sebagainya. Dan yang seterusnya ada permasalahan segi kecacatan bangunan dan kualiti perumahan. Pada rumah dan kerja, buatan binaan yang kurang baik dari segi dari developer, dan rata-rata penghuni tidak berpuas hati dengan keperluan perumahan, keselesaan, sosial budaya dan keperluan agama. Ini adalah dari segi kajian dilakukan oleh Ishak lah dengan rakannya. Saya detailkan sikit. Keselesaan tu berlaku ruang yang disediakan, contoh dia tidak ada pembahagian ruang makan, ataupun dia ruang tamu terus ke ruang dapur, tidak ada pembahagian. Masih ada dekat sini, Perak Tengah masih ada, dia tidak ada pembahagian. Masuk di ruang tamu terus, kan, nampak dapur, kadang-kadang terus ke bilik air, dan mereka yang jabatan rendah terpaksa mengeluarkan bajet untuk membuat partition dan sebagainya. Kemudian penyelenggaraan bangunan dan kebersihan. Dia kata pemantauan tu penting, kena ada memantau dari segi dia punya pengurusan, pengurusan sosial, keselamatan dan keamanan. Sebagai ringkas, so maknanya rumah adalah satu anugerah Allah yang amat tinggi nilainya kepada manusia di dunia. Manusia sememangnya memerlukan rumah sebagai tempat perlindungan. Okay. Di sini yang saya dapati, maknanya sebenarnya sudah lama lah dititik beratkan dalam reka bentuk keselesaan fizikal dalaman. Contohnya berasaskan arah kiblat. Contoh segi agama, kita tidak boleh buat design toilet tu membelakangkan kiblat. Sebab dari segi percayaan agama, dia tidak boleh membelakangkan masa ambil uduk. Dan seterusnya, rumah yang dibina mencukupi bilik sebab memisahkan antara ibu Dan bapa satu bilik, anak perempuan dan juga anak lelaki. Tapi kebanyakan sekarang kita lebih kepada 4 pun saya rasa dah okey. Kadang-kadang ada saudara mara datang, jadi yang perempuan terpaksa tidur kat depan ke kan. Kemudian keadaan bilik perlu mempunyai kelengkapan bilik air. Daripada dulu lagi dia mengatakan supaya memudahkan ia mandi jenazah kalau orang Melayu lah, dan yang bersalin, memudahkan mereka pergi ke toilet. Kemudian ruang tamu dia bagi memisahkan tetamu lelaki dan tetamu perempuan. Tapi ini adalah yang dulu. Sekarang ni saya nampak semua je lelaki perempuan semua berkumpul di ruang tamu dan sebagainya. Saya ambil contoh yang dululah. Tandas perlu dipisahkan. Ruang tandas tu yang mana pergi yang bowl tu dengan yang mandi saja sebab dia tidak, sebab dalam Islam dia semayang tu dia tidak boleh sekali dengan yang bowl tu kan. Jadi perlu dipisahkan. Pergerakan udara masuk dan keluar dengan baik. Pembinaan bumbung biasanya akan ditinggikan. Tingkap dan pintu biasanya dibina dengan lebar dan memanjang dan paras lantai dan sebagainya lah. So keadaan reka bentuk rumah kebanyakannya kita perlu fokuskan kepada ruang tamu, dia punya keluasan. Ini saya percaya you adalah lebih mahir. Cuma saya nak balung kat sini saja. Bilik tidur bilangan dia, ruang dapur dia bagaimana perlu you percantikkan, perkemaskan. Sepatutnya you pun saya tahu kena perlu dengan seiring dengan permintaan, betul tak? Klien you all kan. Tetapi di peringkat inilah kamu sebagai professional perlu mewujudkan apa orang kata kesamaan lah, keadilan bagi dua-dua pihak. Okay. Kemudian di sini persoalan dia, akhir sekali, apakah tahap kualiti perumahan dalam aspek reka bentuk pada masa depan? Ini persoalan you jawablah kan. Apakah tahap kualiti perumahan kan dan segala reka bentuk pada masa depan? Adakah you kata dah okey? Ataupun perlu ditambah baik, di mana ditambah baik? Kemudian apakah tahap kepuasan penghuni? Bila you kata dah baik, apakah tahap kepuasan penghuni? Ini perlu dia buat research lah kan. Mana apa yang reka bentuk dengan ini. Dan apakah perbezaan aspek reka bentuk dalam kualiti perumahan dan kepuasan penghuni dan mempunyai impak kepada perumahan. Impak ni maksudnya impak sosial. Lebih kepada sosial. Banyak kes-kes sosial disebabkan mereka tidak selesa duduk dalam rumah tu. Tidak kira sederhana ke, kos tinggi ke apa ke, mereka tidak selesa. So you kena buat something supaya dia orang lebih suka duduk dengan family di dalam rumah. Dan apakah kriteria reka bentuk yang digunakan untuk pembangunan perumahan? Kriteria reka bentuk apakah? Saya percaya arkitek ada, tetapi adakah ia seiring dengan permintaan? Bolehkah perhubungan ditemui antara kuantifikasi pasukan reka bentuk bagi kriteria reka bentuk dan kepuasan pengguna? Adakah dia punya perhubungan? Dan bagaimanakah kriteria reka bentuk boleh dikategorikan untuk membuat keputusan yang lebih baik? Macam mana you buat lebih baiklah? Saya rasa saya dah ambil masa lebih. Saya rasa itu saja. Thank you, Dr. Moderator. Itu saja.
Terima kasih Dr. Ida on the very insightful the input lectures regarding to the housing. I think this is very useful for our students, especially because this semesters for MBS 1019 mereka tengah buat high-rise housing. So this is a very useful information for them. Okay, yeah. For students, any questions? So I open up for the floor first, especially for the students who are taking the housing design this semester. So please take this opportunity to ask Dr. Noida regarding to the housing. Just now she has mentioned quite a lot of the informations which is very useful, especially on the issues as well as the characteristics, okay, and criteria that for the housing design. I hope that will be some things that you guys can take away, okay, and when you design your individual unit later, okay, you can take into consideration. Okay, yeah, like what we have mentioned in the first sessions or crates, right? Yeah, we mentioned what is basically the issues that you guys have to address and be sensitive, and why you see that there's a lot of the social issue, environmental issues of the current housing in Malaysia or around your site. Okay, so probably this is still your first semester, so you still, couldn't really get on it. But now I hope that through these input lectures, you manage to grasp, okay, what is basically your role as an architect, okay, in order to improve the housing for Malaysian, okay, yeah, in the next 10 years. So your thesis would be some things that have to be addressing, okay, towards the issues that which is facing now. Like what Dr. Ida mentioned just now, is not all the objective have been achieved. It still exists on the guidelines sahaja. Okay, it's not really implement yet. So because the market keep, can I say recycle? Keep recycling, the same floor plans, okay, the project. So yeah, maybe they just change a little bit of the uh facade, maybe not all. Okay, I said yeah, mostly. Okay, so your thesis will be have to be different from so-called the thesis is. Okay, the thesis and project will have to be different. What you have to usually do, practice, okay, you have to think twice. Okay, is that some things that the people want? Okay, is that some things that the buyer want? Because we have no choice, right? At the market, this is what we have. So terpaksa lah we buy, right? Because we still need to have a shell, right? So but now if we people having to have a choices to choose, okay, which type of the housing that we have, why not, right? That's why you as a future architect, okay, yeah, hopefully all of you are going to be AR in the next after you have graduated, okay, then you can change and giving the new options for betterments of the people's life, especially for Malaysian housing. Okay, guys, any questions? You can type in the chat box or you may voice out yeah, to Dr. Ida. Anyone? Okay, maybe while waiting, so probably yeah, for me myself, I would like to ask Dr. Ida regarding to uh, the less than 20%. That's now you have mentioned about the privacy kan. Um, how about high-rise housing? Adakah some of like the regulations, okay, have been set by the local authorities or the SUK or persekutuan level, saying that the high-rise housing itself has to have additional the green spaces. Okay, is there any alternative that they could have? Because we know that for the landed housing kan, mereka ada padang dan tempat riada dan sebagainya. So do they having some alternative for the high-rise housing itself? Like for example, they can go for like sky court dan sebagainya. Yeah, Dr. Ida.
Okay, thank you. Untuk high rise di SUK ataupun di PWT juga mempunyai garis panduan dia tersendiri. Seperti mana yang di landed. Contohnya green space also 10%. Iaitu maksudnya green space ni maknanya termasuk juga recreation area. So perlu dibuat di dalam bangunan dan juga di kawasan atas di bumbung. Ada juga kondominium di kawasan Petaling Jaya telah buat jogging track di level 12. Saya tak ingat apa nama dia punya kondominium tu. Jogging track yang lain biasalah dia punya indoor juga termasuk di dalam kawasan lapang yang perlu dipikirkan sebanyak 10%. Dan juga perlu perlu juga dia seperti landed juga perlu ada mengikut bilangan rumah kalau dia perlu ada surau perlu diwujudkan dan lokasi selanjutnya ditetapkan oleh pihak architecture lah sebab kalau misalnya high rise untuk submission permohonan kaum merancang dimulakan dulu dan kami hanya pada step lah yang pertama kami hanya beri dia punya keluasan exactly yang telah dikeluarkan oleh pre-complan kawasan tersebut, kemudian beri kepada architecture dan selalunya yang saya buat adalah kita bagi guideline dia sekali. Contoh di Selangor apa perlu dan kembali pula kepada kita supaya sebelum buat kemudian merancang tu dia kena submit oleh perancang bandar dulu. Kita akan tengok di manakah surau, adakah parking dia mencukupi, Adakah parking OKU ada? Adakah parking untuk pelawat ada? Kami akan semak dan kita sama-sama masuk di dalam permohonan OSC, Kementerian Merancang dan Kementerian Pembangunan. Jadi untuk menjawab persoalan tu maknanya memang ada, dan untuk perancang bandar memang telah dikeluarkan garis panduan untuk kapasiti tinggi. Saya rasa saya dah jawab.
Okay, terima kasih Dr. Noida.
Okay, sama.
Okay, students, any questions from you guys?
Hello, Dr. Syed dan Dr. Ida.
Ya, ya.
Saya nak tanya pendapat Dr. Ida boleh?
Boleh. Silakan.
Semalam saya ada baca artikel dekat dalam Facebook pasal mentaliti penduduk B40 dekat social housing. So bila saya baca tu ada yang bagi cadangan mana kalau social housing tu patutnya didekatkan ataupun diloketkan dekat kawasan-kawasan yang status yang lebih tinggi macam M40 ataupun T20 untuk macam nak mempengaruhi mentaliti B40 yang bukan maksud saya B40 tu tak bagus, tapi macam social issue lah, macam pembuangan sampah daripada tingkat atas ke ataupun cok-cok parking kan. So nak tanya pendapat doktor, kalau bila kita buat macam saya cakap tadi tu, kalau kita dekatkan B40 dengan status dengan social status yang lain, sebenarnya benda tu menjadi tak? Maksudnya adakah mentality ataupun attitude yang tak bagus dekat B40 yang selalu kita facing sekarang ni akan berubah ataupun mempengaruhi lah? Itu soalan pendapat saya. Soalan saya.
Okey. Terima kasih. Okey. Saya cuba menjawab bagi pandangan saya sendirilah. Kadang-kadang kita perlu memikirkan privacy. Privacy untuk rumah kos sederhana. Untuk perumahan mungkin rendah, kita dapat maklumlah, tapi bagi pendapat saya kebiasaannya kalau kita jual rumah lah, kita jual rumah sukar untuk mencari buyer yang di dalam kelompok yang sama. Maknanya dalam kelompok sama ada mix low cost, maksudnya B40 dan sebagainya. Jadi apa yang kita buat sekarang, kita boleh asingkan tetapi kita perlu kepada pemantauan. Pemantauan tu perlu dilebihkan kepada B40 dan juga kemudahan yang disedia pun perlu ditingkatlah bagaimana nak memberi awareness kepada penduduk B40. Contoh yang dapat gambarkan di kawasan Subang Jaya bagi B40 ataupun mampu milik ni yang baru pembinaan dia, contoh pembuangan sampah lah yang telah dihighlightkan tadi. Mereka memang ada satu corong. Mereka tidak perlu membawa turun naik lift. Kadang-kadang menjadi beban kepada mereka nak bawa sampah ke pusat dia. Tapi saya tengok di sini setiap level dia adakan corong tu, dan dia macam apa orang kata PJ Hot ataupun peti surat tu kan. Dia bentuk besar, dia buang kat situ. Dia buang kat situ, dia terus masuk kepada tempat sampah yang roro tersebut, dan pihak kutipan waste collection akan mengambil sampah tersebut. Ini adalah satu cara bagi mengelakkan ataupun mengelakkan tahap kebersihan di kawasan perumahan yang mampu milik. Dan dia punya surau pun dulu dia terletak di dalam bangunan untuk B40, tetapi saya tengok apa yang telah dibuat yang baru ni mengikut trend, dia letakkan di luar, maknanya bukan di dalam bangunan tu. So maknanya dekat sini berbagai aktiviti program akan dibuat di sekitar surau tersebut. Maknanya di-manage oleh pihak surau. Di-manage oleh pihak kan, pihak surau kan ada dia punya ahli jawatankuasa kan, bagi marakkan lagi surau. Jadi dia letak di luar supaya pengurusan tu dia dah ada dah, diringankan dah kepada penduduk tu sendiri. Maknanya di sini cuma saya nak cadangan saya lah, bagi saya perlu diasingkan supaya memenuhi pihak pemilik tanah atau pemaju lah, supaya itu jual untuk kos sederhana dan sebagainya, tidak diasingkan. Sebab memang dari segi kajian oleh perancang bandar, hampir yang tidak terjual tu disebabkan dia punya lokasi tu bukanlah sama ada dengan B40 ke tidak, tapi hampir 86% tentang lokasi tersebut. Jadi saya rasa kalau macam tu lebih baik kita pertingkatkan kemudahan. Bagaimana kita nak cuba mengurangkan kos pengurusan dan lebih terletak kepada pihak penduduk tu sendiri. Persatuan dia. Rukun tetangga contoh keselamatan. Saya rasa terjawab ke?
Jawab.
Okay, terima kasih.
Okey, terima kasih doktor.
Sama. Doktor, saya rasa pelajar ni telah memikirkan, mereka telah fikir apakah cadangan, mengikutkan dasar dan strategi yang mereka akan buat, dan mereka dapat pandangan, insyaAllah lah, pelajar ni saya rasa memang lebih lah ke arah tu, memang cepat lah, jadi dia tiada soalan tetapi dia memahami untuk cadangan akan datang.
Alright, terima kasih. Okay, so untuk kalau tak ada soalan, probably students later on, if you have any questions, you can text me so I can send it to Dr. Ida. Okay.
Ya, boleh terus email saya pun boleh.
Yeah.
Ada di.
Alright, so maybe Dr. Ida can leave your email address, okay, at the chat box. So students have any questions regarding to the housing, so you can give it to Dr. Ida. Alright. So if there is no other questions, thank you very much for Dr. Ida for your very insightful thoughts regarding to the Halal 7 Perumahan, which is very useful for our students. Okay, so maybe before we end, I think we move to the next session first. Is Dr. Ida, probably you can stay later on. We can going to have a photo session. Is it fine for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So without further ado, probably I need to welcome the next speakers. Okay. So we have Architect Wong over here.
Hi.
Architect Wong, Wong Taek Yong.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining today's. Yeah. So Architect Wong is basically my ex-coursmate. Okay. He is now a professional architect in Singapore. And in the same time, he is a lecturer in Temasek Polytechnic, Singapore. Okay. His expertise is more towards the BIM and housings, as well as some of the the modular constructions as well. Okay, so hopefully later on, Architect Wong can share a little bits of your experience as well as the project that you have go through all the whiles. Okay, with our students as well, especially for our pre-thesis and thesis students, because currently they are dealing with their project, okay, the housing projects. Okay, and some of the thesis students, I guess that they are also doing their housing project as well. Yeah. So probably without further ado, okay, let us welcome Architect Wong in giving us the lecture inputs on the housing. Yeah. So, yeah, Architect Wong, do you mind to trying to share your?
Do you see my screen? No.
Yes, I think. Sorry.
Sorry, the first time I'm using WEBEX. They're sharing my screen. Sharing. I try again. This is record. Can you see? Can okay. I don't know how this works. Okay, thank you, Dr. Lang. Thank you, Dr. Ida. Okay. Okay. I don't know how to make this thing gone. Too many overlapping. You all can see my PowerPoint, right? Everything is closed, minimize. Wait, give me a second. How to close this? Okay, so sorry, because we are not using WEBEX here. We are mostly using MS Team lah. I hope you all can see the screen. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Actually, I can't read. Okay. Today I will be sharing mostly on my past project, what I did during the 10 years with the industry, and then I will pick one of the case study. Okay. Second. Okay. So what is the agenda today? I will be sharing introduce a little bit on the project, and then because mostly I will be focusing on BIM, then I will brief you all a little bit on the skill set on BIM. BIM is a short form for building information modeling lah. I hope you all understand this term. Okay, maybe before I continue, so because I've been practicing in Singapore after graduated, so some of the term it might be different from Malaysia. So just feel free to ask if any questions or any terms that I use that you are not really familiar with or you don't know what is it. Yeah, just feel free to chip in and ask. And then I pick one of the case study and share with you all on the housing project that I did. Okay. So let me introduce first, like just now what Dr. Lang said, we graduated. After graduated, then I was straight away practice in Singapore. And then I got my QP in Singapore, we call qualified person. So it's an AR exam in Malaysia. I got it during 2015, about 2015, and then start practicing until I joined the facilitator or the education in 2020. Okay, these are some of my experience. Actually, during that 10 years practicing, I did a lot of, mostly I did in the institute project. Okay, and I did also mixed development housing in all country like China, Malaysia, and mostly in Singapore like my project, because institute project, institute is all those government projects. So all those government project is in Singapore, and I did some of the office building as well. And what should I do? Okay, maybe I will briefly go through some of the works, and then I will pick one and explain it as a case study. Okay, I did one of the Malaysia housing. So this is a master plan. So we did it for master plan in Sabah. Sometimes when you do housing, right, the challenge is you can't apply a single, like just now what Dr. Eda shared, you can't apply a single concept or single requirements throughout the entire process. So it's depending on the culture, depending on the area, and even sometimes the country. Okay, so you have to understand the needs of the population on the area, and then you start designing. Okay, then you start populate using what kind of technique you all have learned during in school. The next will be I'm doing this office building as well. Okay, some office building. And yeah, I do a lot of institute projects, as I mentioned. So one of it is I do a lot of prison. So I did most of the prison in Singapore. So I do some of their ID works. Later I will share in detail how this BIM involved in all this project. Okay, I do a lot of prison. It doesn't look like prison, I know. Okay, then I do the institute, I do police station as well. So this is just a completed police station. If you are aware, I think we're close to Malaysia in Woodlands. Okay, this is a Woodlands division headquarter. And then yeah, this is one of the master plan that I did for also just completed. I think before I left that period, then I joined education, so I completed this master plan of the entire Khor Sharang Park complex. Prison is a prison. And then I did this as well. This is my first project when I just joined, and it's an Interpol. Interpol is the international police lah. So it's the one and only HQ that we have in Asia. So it serves all the Asia country over, like even including Malaysia lah. So anything happen, so this is the main HQ that we have for the Asia. In the other one is in Leon. So this is a project that I did in Orchard area, if you are aware. So this is the Interpol project, and I did for Gurkha. Then this is a housing project. I wanted to share this because it's more relevant to you all, but due to the confidential, because I can't share a lot on the layout and the requirements because it's all government project. The layout I can't share lah. Okay, and this project is using so-called, just now Dr. Lang mentioned, PPVC, in short, prefabricated pre-finished volumetric construction. In Malaysia, you all call it IBS lah. Okay, but it's the same technology that we use. So what we do is because this project is like a Lego, PPVC is like a Lego. We don't have any like so-called structure. What the conventional structure is that you have a column and beam you build out, right? Then after that you build out the wall, everything. But for PPVC we don't have, because the module itself is considered this module itself is considered all the structure, everything inside. Okay, so when sorry, I go back. So when we do this project, we don't have to build the column and beam first. So it's incorporated in the structure, the modules, and it hoists up. Okay. Yeah, this is in short. Okay. Let's brief a little bit on BIM, on the skill set first before we go into the case study. Okay, I will spend more time on the case study, quickly brief through all these skill set so that you all have an idea what is BIM, what is building information modeling, when I thought it's easier for you all to capture. So based on just now the project, right? So how this BIM, the building information modeling, involved in all kind of project when I started join, even since like the first project. In Singapore, we start using BIM, I think about 2010 or 2011 we started, and then mandatory is 2013. So onwards, we must do a submission, model everything in BIM. Okay, and then the first project I try out, so I do the preparation and then try first, and then just now you saw that the woolen model also using a BIM model to design. So we start out, we straight away go into the BIM model. That means we are using a Revit model to go and draw out. Unlike like what you all did, I understand what you all did now. Usually you all go to SketchUp first, and then after that, then go to maybe floor plan on AutoCAD, and then maybe if you want Revit, you have to transfer it to the Revit model. It's not wrong. It's not wrong that you use that process, but what the government encourages is if you start out with the BIM, then you can solve a lot of issue later on. Okay. So the next will be the GECA, just now the GECA contingent, where I share on we fully utilize integrated BIM from design and until the completion, okay, which is the PPVC like the IBS. And lastly, I did before I left, I think 2019 I left. So the last project I did is something that plug in into the BIM. We are using Dynamo and Enscape. The Dynamo here is not the Dynamo that the detergent. So it's a software that plug in into the Revit models. Okay, so in BIM, right, how this BIM can incorporate into a certain way, or how it can help us in terms of our design process. Okay, so BIM actually it comes with design. So we can actually start out with AutoCAD is fine. So we subsequently we process it and then we generate it into a 3D model, okay, in using BIM. And then BIM actually can also come with sustainability. Okay, so I guess you all are familiar with all this CFD, fluid flow, how to run through all the simulation to see whether it's efficient or not. So in Singapore, this is important to us because Singapore is small, right? So the housing wise, we want the wind flow and want to capture all the wind into our internal space. Okay, because they are all high-rise building here, and then they are stay very close to each other. So this CFD actually is very important to us, and BCA is the authority, building control authority in Singapore. I think it's MPPJ, like some MP like in Malaysia. So they are looking into all this wind flow that you have to achieve a minimum compliance so that you can get the TOP approval for your project. Okay. The other very useful to me is the clash detection. Clash detection is that we can incorporate all the M&A services to the BIM model, the Revit model, and then we do a clash detection. We can do a few times of the clashes and then find out which part that we clash, and we solve it before we go into the construction. Because traditionally, what we do is like M&E engineer will do M&E works, and then architect will keep changing the design. You all know like what you all did now. also same. You will design and change until last minute, but the best thing is you all don't have to go and design the piping, right? So in actual project, no, you have to incorporate as a team with the M&E engineer. So with these helpings on the beam and the clash detection, actually we can do check, a so-called a thorough check on the entire model and see is there any clashes or not. This is one of the example. So if there is any clashes, this is the most headache parts to us lah, because you know toilet every single building, no matter what building you design, you have, even you design a small guard house, you need to design a toilet for the guards, right? So toilet is everywhere. So usually the piping, you have a lot of structure and then you punch through the structure and then fall slab. So all these clashes, we can actually resolve it before we go into the actual construction. Otherwise, when the contractor cast the floor already, then they tell you actually your pipe cannot go through because there is a beam or pile caps over there. So all these we can use a clash detection to solve it using beam before we enter into the construction. Okay, the next is fabrication. So in terms of fabrication, with this beam model, this is like just now the Lego blocks I mentioned, the PPVC, the IBS. We are running quite advanced in Singapore because most of the housing, not most, it's 100% of the housing, the public housing in Singapore, we have to use this technique. Okay, we must use the PPVC to erect on this. Later, my case study will be sharing on the PPVC project as well. So it's like a Lego-like manner. You just stack on it, and then it's actually helping us on the construction timeline and also cost in terms of cost-wise. So why this beam can help on this PPVC is that every single stage, right, when we go, if we have a model and the whole process we're running in, and actually when you design, after that you hand over the model to the contractor can, based on the model, they can actually monitor, okay, monitor the which block, because which module you already hoisted, and then you can monitor in especially during COVID period. That time we can't go to construction site. What we did is actually in the model itself, the contractor will update, they scan the QR code. There is a QR code tagged to every single modules. So once they hoist, they completed already. So I can actually see that module actually appear in my Revit model, and it show completed and then installed. Okay, so actually we can monitor offsite lah. And then in construction wise, you know, even though we run through just now the clash detection or whatever, when next time you really go to the construction site, you realize, actually, there are still mistake lah. There are still mistake that we must admit that because we are human, so we make mistake, but we have to, our job here as a consultant is to help the clients or help the team to solve the issue, right? So what we do is during the construction, because contractor, being a contractor, they just based on the drawings and they go and build, right? So what we do is we need them to record properly, like, so where is the clashes, and then they raise this thing called request for information, RFI, and then we have to capture them in record, where is the changes, and then reply them. We are using all the Revit models, we can do that and monitor the entire site's progress. The next thing on one of the project, like just now I mentioned on the last one, the police station, we are using VR, the virtual realities, okay, and then actually for some of the ID works that I did, and we also using VR, so that the client itself, before they actually approve the ID works, right, the interior works, right, they can actually feel it, like how is it look like, how far is it, and then how is it appear in front of me. Okay, so with this beam, actually we can use another software, actually a plugin into a Revit model and called Enscape. We can use the VR. There are actually plenty of like software that applicable for us to use for the VR. And then after you complete the model, client approve, you erect, construct already, right? So you have to hand over the model to the facility manager, okay, the FM, who will help you to manage the buildings, especially those big building you're using, staying at the condominium, right? So there is a guards or FM will help you to manage on the building. So with this beam building, actually they can easily for them to manage the asset. Okay, what they do is they based on the model, actually they can every single item, like you go and buy the laptop, you buy even your iPhone have a serial number. So all those come with every single item in your building come with a serial number, so-called a code, a tag. So all those tag we can insert the information into the Revit model since design stage. Okay, so that serial number won't change. Like for example, Apple now they built the handphone, right? They want to make this handphone. They won't be like after they completed already, then they give them a serial number. So every single spare parts inside they will have a serial number, and then after they complete already, then they give you the overall image, which is tagged to every single serial number, similar to the construction project. So for construction project, right, we also have tagging. We have tagging for all the system, like you install aircon, you install the AHU or whatever lah. So we can tag it. So those items that without tagging, for example, wardrobe, you won't be like going and build a wardrobe with a tag, right? So what we do is we can tag them. We give them a name, we add numbers to it, and then actually we can insert into the model, and then the FM, when they take over, right, they can easily monitor. So for example, as an office or housing, even a housing, you have a clubhouse, right? So you have for example, a gym in a clubhouse. So you have a treadmill. The treadmill, actually you can tag it. So anything like, if the treadmill like spoil or missing, so actually you can tag it using the inside the BIM model, and then you can go and check. You don't have to go and find out, actually someone call you, hey, there is a treadmill spoil already, you don't know which one, and then you go and check every single one, right? So with this, actually it helps the facility manager to manage the entire office or entire building easily, and then it saves time, it's more efficient, right? So when I talk so much about BIM, I'm not sure how I understand y'all about BIM. So what is this building information modeling? Okay, so some miscom about this BIM is that people will think that the BIM is like a software. So it's a software, then you're using Revit. So many a times people will say, oh, Revit actually is a BIM. Okay, so this is a miscom on why is it we are saying we're using BIM, and why is it today topic when I'm talking I'm just use BIM, why I'm not saying is a talk about case study on Revit, because Revit is a software, but the BIM itself is not. So I will explain later a bit more. BIM, why people will confuse it, like as long as you have a 3D model and then you draft something inside, then it's called a BIM already. Or maybe you translate your AutoCAD, your 2D drawing into 3D model, then you call it a BIM. Okay, this is official from Autodesk what is the actual BIM slide, a BIM explanation. So he said that BIM is an intelligent 3D model-based process that give architecture, that means all our AEC, professional and inside tools to more efficient plan, design, construct, and manage building and infrastructure. Very generic, right? Okay, so I sum up. So what does that means for BIM, right? BIM actually is a process. So that means you remember just now when I said you from design onwards, then you go construct, even you call tender before you construct, you go to construction, you call tender, and then after that you go construction, and then you hand over to the client, and then the FM manage it. Actually, after the FM manage it, the process didn't stop there. Lifespan for a building, every single building there is a lifespan. So a lifespan usually, I'm not sure in Malaysia, like in Singapore, usually is about 20 to 25 years. Okay, so every 20 to 25 years, you will see a developer will develop the house or whatever building over there, they will demolish and rebuild. So that means they based on the existing, because even you demolish, you also need to take a look on the existing building before you demolish all the structure, everything, right? So the process actually repeat. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. You won't stop one. So that's why is it we say a BIM is actually a process. So we are not talking on a software. We are not talking on actually Revit is a BIM already. It's not. So it's a whole process. So this process is pre-construct, during construction, and also post-construction. Okay, then this is even a simplified summary. So it's a building. So you put in the information and then you model. So you have to have all this process involved in the BIM, and then you call it a BIM process. Okay, then why we want to use BIM? Why is it a BIM is important? And I'm talking like since beginning until now, right? Actually what we want, actually I think same thing in Malaysia. What we want is we want to reduce the waste. The waste we are talking here, not the rubbish kind of waste. The waste is the time. Okay, because we don't want it to be, you imagine now you go to the create session. So you draw already, you finish your model, then you go and click, your lecturer asks you, hey, you change again. So everything change this because I give you example this. So if you are using a model, you're already ready, you draw out your all the 3D ready, you are planning to submit, but suddenly you need a big change. So you have to redraw. You have to redraw if you are using AutoCAD. You imagine you draw AutoCAD, the 2D AutoCAD, you have to draw a line, then draw a section. After a section, you draw elevation, right? So you have to reproduce every single drawing, even those small change. But by using BIM, actually BIM is the process, the throughout the entire process. If you have it in a Revit model, anytime I change anything, I can generate the all the information again easily. I just change my floor plan or whatever, and then I can regenerate all my elevation and section. And then money go to time, right? Because as long as you save time, if next time you start running project, the design period is very short. They usually give you 4 to 5 months. You have to complete everything, and then you call tender. Okay, and the complete everything is including all the detailed drawings. You have to draw detail. I understand you all should learn all those staircase detailed drawing, right? So the structure drawings also. So some of the structure part, you have to name it and then refer to the structure drawing. So with all that, you save of time, and then you save of money, and then important is the effort, because you don't have to redraw all the elevation and section, and then and the material as well. So you don't have to throw, if you are sketch, you have to redraw and think a sketch. All this material is a saving. And then why is it BIM? We want to improve the efficiency, because it's more efficient in terms of the whole process, and then easy for us to coordinate. If next time you start working already, you go and have a regular meeting with your consultant team, because architect usually we chair meeting, and if you are the one that keep changing the design, you imagine that how difficult for you to go and manage the entire consultant team. And if you are not giving them a platform that for them to coordinate, a correct platform, so it's very difficult for you to handle the whole team. Okay, and then the thing is, because we want to maintain the relationship because as a team, we work as a team. You cannot be, there's no one man show in the project. So you need them, you need structural engineer, you need M&E engineer, even down to like your all the subcontractor. So you need to have maintain a good relationship with them. And last one is we want to improve our design as well, because we don't want to have an excuse that because it's very difficult to change. When I change this thing and then I have to regenerate everything, also I lazy. I just don't want to change my design. Just so be it, just use this design. So we want to ignore this kind of mindset that actually once I change, I just click another button that I can get the so on and so forth of the drawings. Okay, this is a traditional workflow that I guess most of you is doing lah. So we do plan, section, elevation, then we generate 3D. Okay, and then for the BIM workflow, what we do is we start up thinking with 3D, because when you start thinking on the BIM process, you start drawing on the Revit models. You start a Revit model, you will not be drawing a line first. You are thinking that how high this wall I want it to be. Okay, I draw that line. That means what? Means it's not in a 2D plan, it's a 3D wall. So how high is my floor to floor for my housing? So did I hit the maximum height or not? So all this, when you draw using a BIM process, you will start with a 3D thinking first. Okay, and then next, and the last thing to me is most important, is this so-called common data environment. When we have a software that you say you want to use a BIM process, but if you are using certain software that is not interoperability with the rest of the software, then no point. Because I guess you all will use because last time I do the same. So you will buy certain software, you buy a certain software already, easy for you to use, you just draw. But when you want to transfer it to the maybe a Revit model, you have to change the file type, you have to convert. So once you convert already, some lines missing, maybe some wall missing and some information missing, you have to go and touch up. Then after that, you do a presentation, you have to go into the Photoshop, do the Photoshop again, all these. So by using a BIM process, so what we wanted it to be, the most important is using a common data environment. In short, we call it CDE. So this is like a common digital space for us to host the model, and then we can share, we can exchange and communicate with the rest of the team in the project. Okay, even down to the client, your owner, consultant, contractors, and then the asset FM operator. Okay, I will skip this. Okay, so this code to me is good because we want to choose what is right, not what is easy. Okay, similar to what you all start in school. So in school, we must choose what is right. Start doing it right. And then when next time you go to start work, right, it will be more easier for you to catch up. Okay. I will jump into the case study. Yeah. Okay, this case study I picked is the non-confidential one. Okay, so this is a non-confidential project, and I will brief through the whole process running on this beam. It's a mixed development in Orchard. I guess all of you should be like. I choose Orchard is also because I think most of you will be familiar with this Orchard. Okay, so for the design and concept, what we did usually for the site, you receive a site already, you do a site analysis, right? You do the climate and connectivity check, okay? In terms of concept. So what you want to do, go down to the site and take a look on the site surrounding and then do a mapping, okay? This is so-called a map analysis. So we have to print out and then go and write, usually because I I know nowadays a lot of people like to use iPad, use iPad and draw whatever flow you like. And then we study the sun path, study the wind flow. So we translate it into 2D drawings and then come back and we study. So this is Orchard Road. I think your 2 years never come already. Okay, it's very close. Next time, now I think I can visit already. Okay, Orchard Road and then Iron Orchard. I guess this is your familiar with. The site is just next to the Iron Orchard. It's not directly connected now because like a link lah. There is a new MRT. I think this one I did previously don't have lah. So it just completed already. There is one MRT Thomson line just completed here. This Thomson line actually is connected to Woodlands. So I think next time when you come from Malaysia, I think opening soon. It's opening soon. From Malaysia, you'll take the train all the way from Thomson line. Actually, from Woodlands all the way can reach Orchard already. I think within 15 minutes. It's very fast. Okay. So so what we did is we need to understand the site. So every time when you receive a project, you can next time when you start working, you might not be receiving one project at a time because your boss are paying you so much. You won't be like asking you to do one project, right? Usually, they will ask you to do maybe 2 or 3 projects. It's depending on the skills of the project. Okay. So what we need to do is even though we have 2 or 3 projects, we have to understand the site very well. So I close my eye, I also know where is this? This is scale, this is iron, this is main road. Also, this is Takashimaya. Also, where is it? And then is there any MRT or not? So where is the MRT line? So all this you have to be very familiar for a site because if you are not familiar, imagine you are the one that design this site. It will affect the entire environment. That one is in terms of physical wise, but in terms of authority wise, then you are in trouble because especially in Singapore, we have a lot of underground MRT line. So there is a certain guideline for the MRT guideline. You have to go and find out all this before you can start design. It will affect the entire site. And somehow you imagine this project is for the feasibility study. Feasibility study meaning like the client, maybe I'm the client, so the government or any client they wanted to sell this land. They don't know whether it can earn money or not. So the developer, they will ask the architects to do a feasibility study and help me to calculate how many units I can put in here. Okay, and then what is the per square feet I can sell for this let's say condo housing here. So I can sell how much. So in total, if I buy this land, will I earn money or not? So your job role is very important. They are not asking you to calculate how much they can earn. The important is our job is how many units we can put in. Okay, because one unit, imagine one house, one condominium, I think a single apartment, a studio apartment. A studio apartment means like without room one, a toilet and a living together with a kitchen, all those. In Orchard area, it can cost you a million plus Sing dollar. So it's about 3 million. So it's about 3 million. So imagine like if you wrong calculation, you give slightly more, you never go and calculate all the setback or whatever. You give more additional units to this development, and before it's actual go to the design stage, and then you are in trouble because the client already brought this land and they already buy the idea on I can build like maybe 100 units. Then end up you tell after you go into the detail, you calculate, actually I only have 70. So because 30, because of the setback or whatever, I have to cut it. Then you are in trouble. You imagine how many millions that the client throw in, and at the end he cannot earn. Okay. Most of the case, the client will ask you to pay, ask the consultant to pay. Okay. So to us, the most important to me, most important is the design stage and this so-called the analysis. You have to understand the surrounding, not only the design, not only the population. You have to understanding the code requirement and understand very well on the site before you start doing it. So for this side, what I did is, because it's not directly linked to the shopping mall, so we need to create that. Okay, we need to create the link. The link, there is a few type of linkage we can have. We can have a physical or visual link for the people. Oh, when I look at that, like y'all go KL, KL go Pavilion. So Pavilion, there is a lot of linkage to all the buildings connected. You can actually above ground, you can connect. So in Singapore, it's very common. We do a lot of like connection, even though above ground or underground. Okay, so those visual link is the first thing that you can do, so that people look at that. Oh, actually, I can go to that mall. This link is important to us because people are lazy. Without this link, I ask you to walk outside, or you touch a bit of rain or sun, I don't want to go already. Okay, because in Singapore, we are not everyone is driving like Malaysia lah. So usually people will take train, take bus, easy for us to commute to the rest of the area. Okay, so this link is important to us. And then the pedestrian link. Okay, so how they connect, how they walk, the actual walking. And then if we want to include also actually the green link. Okay, because sustainable, what we are talking here. So later I will focus on the sustainable part. Okay, so the massing and overall for this project, I based on idea of this fish. Okay, because what I want it to be is understand the climate and the wind flow for that direction. Orchard area is packed with high-rise building. It's very, very packed with high-rise building. So this wind flow is very limited, and is very you have to think a way to how to catch the wind into the building. When we catch it, it doesn't mean like, oh, as long as I have a wind flow, then it's fine to me. It's not, because after you catch already, you have to think of how the wind can flow into the residential unit. Okay, that's what I wanted to achieve. Okay, I have this idea on using the fish. The fish, like, fish mouth, they have the water come in already. So how they go into their lung, and then the grill, the filaments, right? So how they filter it, then they go out. So the idea on how they catch, how the water can go to every single parts of the body, is like the wind flow. Okay, so the shape of the building is inspired by this the bone, the gill arts of the fish. And then I want to also reduce, because Orchard area is all the high rise, the urban heat island reduction. Okay, so what I can do is the limited land and limited space for me to build. What I can do is I can put in green and then make use of my own building itself to create the UHI reduction for the entire building. Okay, we can have this idea on the valley. Okay, because the center part is open up, so I can have a valley, and then I can do some things, rainwater collection, and then reuse the water, and then have a planter all over. And then with this planter all over, actually the wind can flow, because you all know wind only can flow through the open area. If you have everything enclosed, actually you can't achieve that. Okay, so with the introduction on all those planter boxes or communal space for the people around the unit, actually is part of the contribution as well. Okay, I will explain more later on this part. Okay, so for the overall, it's like four commercial blocks, and then the above the residential is all using PPVC. Okay, like the IBS, the PPVC modules. Okay, the commercial is conventional construction. It's like a column and beam. The idea for us to use the IBS or the PPVC is because we have to look at the percentage of duplication, because the idea of Lego, Lego, I know Lego got a lot of shape, but the idea for us in terms of construction, we need the amount of duplication for us to use that PPVC. Why is this so? Because like I give you an example. Like you print a shirt. I think you all have all the club print all shirt in school. You imagine like if you have the shirt with a design. So I have this logo design in my shirt. I have this logo design, everything in my shirt, and I have like maybe wait I have like maybe 100 same copy, 100 same copy I'm going to print, or exactly the same one. So the supplier give me a cost. Instead of I have like maybe a few people come up with a few design, and then the same amount, maybe 4 design, I have 100 pieces also to print. Which one do you think will cost more? Which one? Anyone? Anyone still here? Actually, I cannot see you all. I don't know whether I do it correctly or not. I actually cannot see.
The participants that you can
Huh?
see.
Cannot, huh? I can click, huh?
Yeah. At the right side, the bottom right.
Oh, this one.
Participants, chats, and apps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then you can see their name.
Oh, okay lah, never mind, it's okay. I just get your fall asleep already. Okay, so okay, like in short, is the one that have a amount of duplication. That means one shirt with 100 pieces, maybe the supplier will give you $10. Okay, the other one maybe he give you $20. The idea is because he need to create additional mold and then go and create that 4 pieces of shirts, right? So a lot of effort to do on that 4 pieces, different design, even though it's same amount, so it will cost you more. Same to the project. So what we want is we want to have that amount of duplication so that the contractor can use the same technique and same mold and duplicate for you. It will be cheaper because easy for them to do. You imagine like if for PPVC, actually one of the idea is because we won't do it on site. All the modules, the small module, later I will show you all, you will do it offsite. That means we will build a factory or you will do it in a factory. It's good for the workers because they are stay indoor, and then they can do it. That project, that the Gurkha contingent one, last time I visit, the module is built in China. Okay, so what they do is after they complete already, actually they ship over the module from China. So actually when I go and visit, the workers actually wearing jacket, what you imagine, compared to the one we are doing in Malaysia and Singapore. Yeah, they are all under the sun. So that is the benefit that we use PPVC. So the worker actually, they work indoor, they work happily as well, because they are more the environment for them to working is easy. And then the other thing is because there are certain duplication amount over there. For example, later I will show the certain duplication there. Then the worker actually, they go back every day, they are doing the same thing. Imagine like I'm the one doing the wardrobe. Every day I go back, I go to my work is just doing the wardrobe. If you're doing certain thing repeatedly for a year or a month, actually your workmanship will become very good, because you close your eye, you also know how to build that wardrobe, right? So same theory, same theory apply to this module. So the amount of the duplication he has already, he will very fast for him to do that task for him. Okay, instead of you every day ask a different worker go to the site to tie rebar, to do this, then work under the sun, then they are very slow. So the things that we want to do here is the efficient. So to help the worker as well, because they are human as well. We want to help them, okay, in the construction site. For this part, okay, this link, residential part, I will doing a pool. There is a pool over here. And then the idea of the valley, just now your look at the section just now, here also have. I did something called bioswale. Bioswale is something that you filter the rainwater. Actually, you can reuse it. Okay, reuse the rainwater. If you come to Singapore, bioswale is over everywhere now. You can't tell it's a bioswale because it's a design around it with the planters, with all the turfings lah. So you can't tell it's a bioswale. Especially in like next time you go to housing area, if you all can actually now can come visit. If you all can come and visit, go to Punggol area, there are a lot of these bioswale, and then their housing is all incorporated with all these. It's quite nice, because now the public housing in Singapore design is different from the previous time. Okay, previous time is all standard. You look like same, just a housing for people to stay. So now we put in more effort to doing all the HDB, so-called HDB, public housing in Singapore. Okay, you all can take a look at the Punggol area. There are a lot of these bioswale and how they filter it, the water. And then at the same time, this valley actually allow the wind. You all go to all those tunnel, right, the valley, right? I'm not sure whether you all visited before or not. The wind will like have a tunnel effect for the wind to flow through. Okay, and then because I don't want it to be too focused on this part, which is my back. my rear side of my project, but that is the orchard area which people will most of them will travel from here. So I wanted to focus on my main entrance as well. This is the main not the main orchard road, but is the main road to my project. So I designed something a canopy, a big canopy that can actually attract people, sense of welcoming lah, because all the drop off, if you drive a drop off parking, so all will enter from here. Okay, I use another technique called CLT. CLT is a cross laminated timber. It's also like a so-called a DFMA. DFMA is in short on here. Later I will talk about it. Design for manufacturing assembly. So PPVC is part of the DFMA design. So we design certain thing that is easier to construct and fast, and it helps on the entire construction. Okay, I move on to the sustainability. Okay, so in terms of sustainability, I'm focusing on 4: energy efficiency, environment design, and then user well-being and the waste management. Okay, there are something called green mark in Singapore. I think in Malaysia you're called GBI, or Green Building Index. So it's the same, but I never compared before. Green mark in Singapore, they just released a new version, which is very difficult for me to achieve. But in Singapore, it's a compulsory. I know in Malaysia it's not, but it is good now when you're now during study, go and take a look on the Green Building Index, the GBI. Take a look on whatever information inside. It actually pick up point here and there. Actually, it helps because I know in Malaysia people just want to achieve, right? I just because if it's not a requirement, why I want to waste my money to go and achieve this? Okay, that is the mindset that what we have lah. So in Singapore it's not because government force the enforcement come from government, so no choice. Every single one you have to achieve certain green mark requirements, right? So you have to spend some effort lah. With this effort, actually not everything that is a waste of money, because some it helps on the environment, correct, but some is actually help on the user. For example, the energy efficiency. So if you are using more energy efficiency equipment for your building, actually it's helping the upfront pay might be high lah, but it's actually helping the client. You imagine like the aircon, every month you can save like $100, example, just small amount. But in terms of like a 10-year, you actually save a lot. You can save a few millions for using a more energy efficiency approach, and environment approach and user. Okay, so for this project, I mainly focus on the passive design. You all know what is passive design? Passive design meaning all those natural, based on some anything that is natural, like wind, sun, orientation, all these. So it's so-called passive design, which is the first part that just now I explained. I based on the set analysis, I come up with this design and with the concept, and design something called a super low energy building. Super low energy building meaning this building actually is not consume a lot of energy. Okay, it's actually there is the own self generate some energy, it can offset to my building. Okay, and in short, I don't pay high bill lah. So that is in short when you understand it in terms of why super low energy building. Okay, so when passive design come in, so I do some of this term. I'm not sure whether you're aware of it, like ETTV, RETV, all this calculation is upfront what we can do one. And then second one I wanted to target is 90% of the common area must be naturally ventilated. Okay, that means all these common area, I must make it naturally ventilated. The 10% we can't ignore, we can't avoid, is because of like some aircon, like 24/7 aircon rooms, like your data room, your server rooms. That one we can't avoid. We definitely need that room with aircon. So no choice, we have to put in. So we just accept it. But as much as possible, I wanted to achieve like 90% of the common area. Okay. And then I do some part as well, because you know, right, because I told you already, Orchard area is all with the high rise, so I need to put in all these some part. Some part is like there is a part with a mirror inside, so the sun when it hit a certain timing, so later I will show how it calculate, and then it will hit into my building internal, and it's actually reach my car park, because car park is the area that people usually you won't eat, you won't do anything in the car park, right? Because you just park your car and then you will exit. So we don't want to waste extra energy or extra amount of energy to the car parks. Okay, and we put in some pipe. And then Fumatic is a system that collect the waste, and then we can regenerate the waste and recycle the waste. This part where I think recently Singapore is very on this, the system on how to recycle the waste, how to segregate it, and then how we make use of the waste to create certain food. Not food for human, food maybe for animals. Okay, so we are researching and doing all this. We don't want to waste, because the amount of food that we waste every day is a lot. Okay, and then the LED, this is common, and then the chilled water system as well to achieve a certain tonnage. I think all these are alien to you all, like 0.57. All this is like just now I mentioned, the GBI. If you can, you go and take a look. Why is it I have this number 35? It's not plucked from sky. So the 35 is actually based on certain requirement. Okay, so the highest green mark in Singapore is green mark platinums. So for this building, I wanted to achieve green mark platinums. That's why I have to put in the effort to achieve. This digit, when you look at it here, sounds simple, but it's not easy to achieve. So if you want to achieve this 35, actually you have to do a lot of works. You have to do a lot of shading, you have to do a lot of calculation, and then you have to have a lot of opening, and then reduce, and then use the correct type of glass, this and that, to get a certain calculation, and then you achieve the 35 watt per meter square. Okay, and smart operation is one of the things that I will focus on this as well. Like for residential part, you can do the switch control. Okay, because you know it's a commercial plus residential, right? So the most important to us is the security. So we don't want it to be like everyone go to the shopping mall and then you can take the lift easily, go to your house and then open the lock and then enter. So I using a smart operation for this building is easy for us to control. So everything using smart, and then it will recognize the sound and noise and your thumbprint, like you open your phone, so only you can open up your phone. Same thing, it applies to the building. So we can use that to help and then reduce the manpower. Otherwise, I need to have like maybe I got the 10 lift, I need to 10 guard to juggle all the entire lift lobby. I won't do that. So we are using the smart system and then control also the lighting, temperature, and then all the retail tendency, we are using a green list as well. And then last thing is the energy recovery. Why I say just now the super low energy. So that 10% that I using the running, as long as I have an active design, that means if I have light, I have fan, I have aircon or whatever, definitely you need fan, right? Even though naturally ventilated, I need fan to have the airflow as well. So with that, actually the fan is assisted on the naturally ventilated space, but it actually costs energy because you need power to go and turn on the fan, right? So what I do is I'm using this energy recovery, the hot water to the chiller plant, and then we try to recycle, and then I have a photovoltaic on a rooftop as well. So with that, we can actually have a renewable energy to supply the energy to the building. It's not easy. The photovoltaic, when you look at it, sometimes when you want to put in, you can't say like, oh, I actually put in 2 already, I want to generate the whole building. It's not. Actually, in terms of photovoltaic, why if you want to supply this kind of big scales of project, you maybe need 3 times the same site area for you to generate and achieve that also that 10% only. Okay, it's not easy. So but nevertheless, we still wanted to at least that few roof we put it in a photovoltaic, it can help or maybe generate a light on the staircase. Then it helps. Okay, even though it's minimum, but it helps. And then in terms of super low energy, what you're doing the housing part, you can have like calculate how much no need to be in detail. You can try to think of like this is a baseline. So you come up with like a certain baseline. I have how many aircon, how many things, but towards the end, I need this proposal must be bigger than your baseline. You cannot be like your proposal is just stay inside. Your proposal is below your baseline. So baseline is the average, how people use, how much aircon energy I use, all this and that. And then I want to achieve slightly more, even or not slightly, if a lot more if possible, on certain amount, on certain thing. And then with this, the mixed level and retail, we can reduce actually 50% for the retail side, and then the 60% on the entire mixed development. Okay. In terms of landscape, this one I think I will just quickly skip through. Only part is the valley, this part on the bioswale, And what I do is I have the piping all over. Okay, it's actually embedded lah, cover, you can't see it. And then it will transfer some of the area because we can control the pipe. And actually it will transfer to the different usage, like a portion to can go in water irrigation, irrigate the plants, because I have so many green here. I cannot afford like to have workers to go and every day go and help me to plant water my plant. So what I do is I have to design it, but water because I don't want it to be wasted a lot of pump to go and pump out again to do. So what I do is the pipe can collect from here, and I calculate the amount of water and how to support to the rest of the how many floor I can support. Okay, so I open up certain area to collect again, and then to support which area of the green. So with that, actually is a gravity flow. I don't need to use any pump, anything. It's like in short, it will be like maybe a small pump you need lah, because sometimes you need to control the pump how it release and sensor, maybe sensor timing, like sometimes rain already, I don't want the irrigation pipe is still coming out with water. So all those like you can't avoid, you still need it. But as much as possible as an architect, what we do is we wanted to help the client to reduce the cost and then reduce the manpower. You know, with this, maybe the client can every single block they can reduce maybe 10 workers. You imagine 4 blocks, they can reduce 40 workers. Okay, so they can reduce in terms of day-to-day works and their extra work to the workers. But having said that, you still need the worker to go and prune the tree, this and that. So that one is on off, because you won't be like cutting a tree every day, right? So day-to-day works we try to reduce. And then yeah, this is a bioswale. So the bioswale one is like how this thing work is they will collect the water, they filter out the water, and then they collect and then certain part they will release, certain part they will reuse it. Okay, next part on the health and resource efficiency, which is under the sustainable as well, is a user well-being. So how we encourage the user is they need to be, because most important is the user, the building you can do very nice, but when the user, their well-being is not towards the contribution to the building, your entire project fail, it doesn't work. So you in order for the user to in order for you to encourage the user, you have to design for it. So you have to design something that the user will do, and then they will contribute. Okay, so you have to have that mindset to design for it so that the whole process is continued. And then for this project, I also do, like just I mentioned, the waste management. So how I collect the waste, how I collected already from the commercial and residential. There are the pneumatic system. Pneumatic system is like you go to airport now, you take the flight, you press the flight. It's not water come out, it's like a suction kind. So that is a pneumatic system. They collect the food waste. After that, we can reproduce it. So how I make the sense of belonging for them, because part of it, once you complete already, it divided after process, it divided into 2 parts. The first part is the biosoil for the commercial, and then and residential. The second part is the remaining one. Then they can sell it because they know it already, you can sell it, and then the profit go to the building. Okay, the building management. So what you do is you pay lesser maintenance fees, because they earn money already. There is a profit where you contribute. The waste, you don't want. You imagine the waste that you throw today, or the nasi lemak not nice, I don't want, I throw. So everything you throw, then you imagine that the item that you throw, actually they recycle and they reuse it, but it has a profit, and then you earn it. And you will do that as a user. As a user, you know that there is money coming in, you will try to contribute. Not they ask you to throw food, you don't eat, as in like the additional food that you can't finish, actually there is a process. So the user thinking actually this month, how come I maintain it? You imagine like every month you have to pay maintenance fee, maybe 100 ringgit. So today, how come this week I only pay 10 ringgit? Because the 90 ringgit actually is contributed by as a whole development. Everyone contributed, and then they sell it for profit. There is a profit to the residents. Okay, so far okay. I hope I don't talk too fast. Okay, I got 2 more things. Okay, this is the part on DFMA. So it's so-called a lean technology, like the design for manufacture assembly. Like just I mentioned, PPVC is one of it. And then this roof, if I'm using CLT, cross-laminated timber. Cross-laminated timber is like the processed timber. The processed timber, usually the timber itself is natural, right? So what we do is the CLT, the cross-laminated timber, is they stack a few pieces. Like the other term is gulam. There are a few techniques they are using. So they stack it together already, and then it's actually easy for them. They can hold certain weight. The weight is more than a normal wood. The wood actually sometimes they can't hold very heavy item. This CLT and the gulam or whatever technology they use, actually it can become a structure. Okay, you imagine the wood can become a structure. Okay, so this is how the technology goes now. Okay, so for this DFMA project that I did, I focus on these two. Okay, yeah, CLT and MST is the same, just the process different, but they are the same technique. That is called mass engineered timber. So they process the timber, and then it make this everything using a timber. I think this is using timber for a building. I think you're very familiar lah, but it's not very common in Singapore because we don't have a lot of wood or timber project. Yeah, because due to the load and the heavy, we can't build a 90-story timber build residential, right? Maybe those in the housing unit one, you all can go and explore for your thesis. Try to think of how we can use wood to build a 90-story and natural the whole thing. So why not? Okay, and then the residential part, I'm using PPVC, which is the technology, the Lego technology for it. Okay, to start off with the PPVC, what we do, like what your same thing you all do, while your lecture, I always ask you to come up with the bubble diagrams, and then where is the relationship, draw the adjacency. This is important, especially when you're doing PPVC, because you can't soka I want to change this bedroom 3 to bedroom 2, or for example the size, you can't anyhow change because it will affect a lot. You remember just now when I mentioned at the beginning, the building don't have structure, don't have a beam and column. So all those modules is come with column and beam when they stack together. So when they stack together, the loading when they calculate is important already. You can't anyhow go and change the room position and this and there, where is the location, or maybe tomorrow I want to change the dressers over here. You can't. You have to fix it during the design stage, even way before the design stage. Okay, so once I have the bubble diagram, I will group them. Okay, tab 1 I have this, tab 2 I depends on the number of rooms and then number of size, you have different tabs. Okay, then I come up with the modules. So this is my module. This is one of the example. I changed a little bit here and there. You come up with a tab. So I have tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, tab 4, tab 5. So this 5 tab. So this 5 tab for my entire development. One of the not so good, so-called not so good of this PPVC is because of the limitation on the dimension. I guess in Malaysia also same thing. Because of the delivery, because this item is not built on site, right? So I can't have a huge module, so I hoist up, and I have a limitation on the weight as well because you don't have a very heavy tower crane to go and hoist the very heavy module. The module can be super heavy, a few ton for the module itself. And one thing in Singapore is because of the height we have a height limit, and there is a lot of pedestrian overhead bridge, so it's all over. So when you travel over, you can't more than actually 3.7 meters because they need to have a leeway for the building. So you minus off the truck and because it's 4.5, the overhead bridge in Singapore is 4.5. So minus off the truck with a wheel or whatever, actually the module is about like 3.4 or 3.5 maximum you can reach if you are using PPVC. Okay, that's another reason why sometimes when you buy the new house with a PPVC in Singapore now, the headroom is a bit low because of this constraint, all these constraint. Okay, we can't be avoid, and then the size as well. Okay, so with this tab, I tabulated this tab, so I can, like a Lego now, I fix here and there. For example, I have this unit with the module, I come up with the unit. So unit B is a 3-room tab, and then I have 2 rooms, I have 4 rooms, I have 5 rooms. Okay, so when you design a housing, you can't design a 2-room for the entire development, because you have to cater for the entire population of the area, because some people like big rooms, some people like small. Because if I'm single, why I go and buy the 5 rooms, right? That is a mindset so for us to build a housing unit, we have to consider all this population. You can't have like just one type and then you build for the whole building, which is, to me, is easy it's easy for me to build, but it's bad for the client because our intention is helping the client to sell the unit. We are not for us to do a easy job, to easy design, right? So we wanted to help the client so that people, different sort of people, different population will come and buy it. Okay, especially this site is in Orchard. The per square feet is so expensive, and a lot of people will come and invest because only not foreigners can only purchase the condominium in Singapore. So this kind of like single room or double room is actually these three rooms is very popular, especially in Orchard area. You will see a lot of like Ang Moh, they stay in Orchard area, so they are from overseas, they bought it and then they stay here. You can't ask them to buy a 5-room if they only one of him only, right? So you can design one unit apply to everything. Okay, so with that, I come up with a typical floor. I Lego it, I combine it. Also, the A, B, C here is just now what you see, the unit type. Okay, I have to Lego it based on just now the concept, the fish concept, and then I have to Lego it and combine it. And the PVC, which is the modular type, we only can use it for the residential. That means the unit. For all the commercial, the green, we have to use the typical construction, which is fine because the leaf core, the structure core, everything you go up is a core already. Definitely you need it to be construction. But you can use precast, like precast beam or whatever. Just that we can't have the whole floor this shape. We use PVC and then we just hoist. We can't do that. Okay. One of the reason is because we need to tie back the structure. The structure we need to tie back on all these common corridor, because this is the area that consider the hard core, the columns, the main core of the entire building, and everything have to tie back to this corridor. And yeah, this is how it looks like you hoist and you slot. You see, I don't have any column. I don't build any column first one. So the module is just you hoist, then you just pop, then you just go up. And this is in short, I summarize for you why is it using a PVC. There is this is depending on the site, because the site is in Orchard. Orchard Road, you know is very busy. All the traffic, all the buses, and then the road is very the Orchard Road itself is big, but the working space for me is very narrow. The road is very small. They only allow a certain opening and certain part and certain timing as well, because there is a few residential over there. So they don't want you to work after 6, and then there is a limitation over at a different site. So when you do a study on the site analysis, it's important. You have to understand, that might be the constraint. You cannot base on one tab to apply to the rest of your project. Otherwise, we don't need the architect already. I can use whatever last time the architect did, then I just pop into my project. So every single project is unique. Like what you do your thesis now is unique. Is unique for you. So you have to go and find out what is your site and then how you do that. Okay, so for this side, the module hoist maximum I can do is 8 to 9. Okay, estimate 8 to 9. Because of the tower crane, then they hoist. They hoist already, not the port any. They have to do the connection. They have to join it. They have to still pour a little bit of concrete so that it join together. Okay, so every single unit per floor, I have five unit, and total for that 5 unit, I estimate I got about 17 modules. Modules means like just now the small one, you take a look. This small is called module. This small one, the color, green color is one module, green color, yellow color is one module. So all these module, total I got about 17 per floor. Okay, every single floor. So total up, how many I have is about 1,003 to 1,004 modules. Some small one, maybe the balcony will add on later. So those about 1,003 to 1,004. And the time frame for me, you imagine based on this simple calculation, is about 7 months. I can complete the 20-story building already. So imagine 20 months without all those design and construct in the factory. Because what the factory will do is, you imagine I got 1,003 modules. How big you want, because the site in Singapore, Malaysia maybe have. But I know a lot of factories, they build in Malaysia, then they send over. Okay, I think Malaysia a lot of PVC factory. They produce the module in Malaysia and then send over. Okay, so what they do is they don't erect or they don't construct the module 1,003 in one go. At one go, it will occupy the entire factory. So what they do is they maybe fabricate 100 per month. Example. So they will slowly do 100. Once you hoist up already, the schedule. That's why the schedule is important. Once you have the schedule, you hoist up already. I need to know. I cannot suddenly stop. Right? You cannot suddenly produce. Cannot be like you go and buy wanton mee, like any nasi lemak. I tell you, you go already. Hey, no nasi lemak today, close. I only sell 20 pack. So construction cannot like that. You cannot suddenly say, I close store, I'm not selling you anymore. You can't. So what we do is we need to have a sequence and construction sequence. Then it comes to why is it just now I mentioned the BIM process is important, because the contractor actually can, based on the module in the BIM model, they can calculate, they can generate how fast and how slow. So the project manager or whoever in the project, they can keep pushing the contractor. Oh, so today, actually, you must complete this, otherwise my entire project will delay. Okay, imagine one module, because the module is side by side one, you can't hoist the third module before the second module go in. So it must be in sequence one, because it's a structure, you must be in sequence. So if you imagine you have some hiccup at some certain module 2, or I tell you the entire project will delay. Okay, so that's why why I mentioned for this case study the BIM process. For this project, the entire thing I'm doing is a BIM process. Everything I draw in BIM, and then I hand over, and then I tag QR code, even up to a single door in the model is tagged with a QR code. So every time when a contractor they erect the door for that unit, actually they scan, it will appear, it will send the information to my BIM model. So it will tick, you have a tick in my BIM model, and then I know, actually that door installed already today. Okay, they can't bluff, they tick already, the door installed, they have to take the photo. But I will still do a random check because being human, sometimes I tell you today finish, you will go and you will take photo first. Haven't screw in, you also take photo first, right? But we will do a random check and then make sure that everything is in order. But you don't have to like stay 24/7 on the site. So with this construction estimation, you do the foundation first or whatever, first story or to the third story, and we actually can complete with additional EOT is additional over time, the extension of time for you due to weather or whatever, like traffic close, this and that, because Orchard Road always got event. So estimate like 3 months. So total we need 10 months. Then we can complete the entire residential. It's actually the entire process. This is the typical timeline when we do a column beams, you do wall. So estimates for a 20-story building, you need about 36 months. In Orchard Road, actually it's more, but I make it as 36, so it doesn't look like so big different. You imagine like I can actually 26 months to complete this entire project. It's actually a good selling point to the client. Imagine the client wanted to sell, everyone wanted to get the house fast, right? Who want to get the house late? Okay, so if you had this as a selling point, and then it's very good for the client. The client is very easy for them to push and saying, oh, actually about 2 years, then you can actually see your house ready already instead of 3 years. Okay, additional 1 year. Can And then another DFMA, this one is a CLT, just like I mentioned. This one is in details. I will skip this a little bit. Okay, the last part is on the technology part. Okay, so come to BIM. Just now I talk a lot on the BIM, all the sustainability, how they do the CFD simulation. I involve everything in this project, like the clash resolution, which is the clash detection, just now you all mentioned. So I put in the piping, everything. I do a clash before it go into the actual project. Okay, so this is a summary I put in for the entire site analysis, like the site planning and then orientation. This is the beginning before that. And then the cooling load. Cooling load is like the aircon or whatever energy that I use. And then shading as well. This is one part, like just like I mentioned, because a lot of high rise. I want to see which part is shaded and which part is not. So when I come to using BIM and do all the simulation involve them, so I come up with all these results. So I must make sure that the cooling load, the baseline, the proposal is bigger than the baseline, and then I use a solar to calculate the amount of heat into my east and west facade, and then how I reduce it. We can't avoid because the sun in east and west. So definitely, if I have a building, as much as possible, we place all those non-habitable area at the east and west, right? But we can't avoid as sometimes at the project, like especially this very limited site. Okay, so without ignoring that, so we have to solve that. As an architect, we need to solve the issue, because you cannot create something that unresolved for the client to go and solve, and then next time the user buy the house already, they start complaining, hey, the architect so stupid, design this and that. Sometimes you go to certain building, you will say that, oh, how come this architect design this and that? Okay, so we try to avoid all this. We have to think further and then to provide a solution as much as possible we can. So the issue I have for this project is the southwest facing. The southwest facing on the afternoon sun is very hot. You know when we calculate sun is from 11 to 4. So throughout the day, 11 to 4, usually we calculate that this period is the hottest within that period. So we see 11 to 4 where is the sun, and then I wanted to create a shading device to mitigate this afternoon sun. Okay, I'm using something called Dynamo. Dynamo is like a scripting, okay, a new technology, not technology, a plugin to Revit. And to me, I'm not sure whether you're familiar or not. You all can try next time. Is embedded into the Revit already. You go to the manage, you can actually straight away click on this Dynamo. So what they do is I wanted to achieve 50% of the shading residential area lah. Okay, so I don't go and design one type of shading apply to the entire residential. So what I do is I based on the Revit family, I create certain design first, and then inspired by all these and how I come out is this is before the Dynamo. I will design a same orientation, same thing, and then after the Dynamo, actually they based on calculation on where is the sun and what is the angle. Actually, I have a different angle to capture because we still want the sunlight, the sunlight entering to my living area, my housing area, but I don't want the direct sunlight. I don't want the heat coming in. So usually what architect will do is we just put the same size of louvers and same angle lah. But after using Dynamo, actually he will give you a certain angle that actually it helps on the timing, because you can put in the Revit model, you can put in the time and the location. So where is the building, and then they give you a certain angle, then can auto generate all this frame for you. Okay, this part is another part on the commercial. I do the same using the commercial part, and then yeah, this is so-called a scripting part lah. I didn't create this scripting because if you go to Google and find a YouTube video, there are a lot of people created this script. I just use their script and then apply to my project. Okay, I just use that. And this is a clash resolution where I put in all the M&E services and see whether any clash or not. I have to solve it. Yep. I think that's all I have for today. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Architect Wong, for the very insightful and comprehensive thoughts regarding to the mixed developments, knowledge and skill sets on the BEAM. Okay, so I open up Q&A sessions to students first. Students, any questions? Hopefully this is something very insightful for you guys, since you guys are doing with the housing, and I'm sure that this is students, you are dealing with the practical sets as well. Okay, so this might be helpful, especially for the special studies.
I have a question.
Okay, sure.
Okay, you mentioned that the modular units are like Lego structures, right? But then how do you actually make pocket spaces within the Lego structures? Like when you place them, it's like compact together, right? So how do you design some ventilation into the communal spaces without a framework itself?
Yeah, actually very good question. You know the old technology, like just now I mentioned that project, and you see the Geka contingent one, that is the first stage when we're doing PPVC. We don't have like what you said, we can't have a communal space. So your question is very good. And then after we explore the latest one, what we do is because we ask the structure engineer, like we give them because we want this as an architect, we are not the engineer, right? So what we do is we throw the question to the engineer, because this is a structure engineer. So what we want is this is a structure module. Let's say this is a module already, okay, without a column, meaning like without a column doesn't mean like really no columns. So the column is designed such a they hide inside lah. That means a certain frame, they are a column. So what they do is we want them to erect lor. That means if this module up already, so they have to erect a precast column, and then for the communal space. So you can see the column at the communal space. Yeah, the latest one, this is the old one. Old one, like that's last time what I did, the first project is you must connect because the column is continuous. But this time around, the latest one, when they explore the new one, coming up already, for this project, we can have that. We can have that the bracing at the communal space, and then they put in. So we just modified it, make it nice. ask them to put in truss. They can put in a truss. For this project, they use structural truss. They use structural vertical truss and then connect to this module and then connect it, and this part open up as a communal space. Yeah, the latest one we can do that. Possible.
Oh, so you mean the framework is like within the pods within the modular units, or you have to erect it from the base till the
No,
top?
you don't need. You don't need, because how it works is the load transfer from this wall to the one below, right? So imagine when I stack up, actually this you can see my cursor one, right? So the actually the load is transfer one. I don't need to erect a column from the piling all the way up. I don't need. So the piling is still there. The piling is still there, but they take it as this load, they continuous. So if I take out this module, they have to erect a precast column to it, and then they can continue another module above it. But the load still transfer in the columns. But we don't need to have a traditional one to have like, like a column every single story, right? Yeah.
Okay,
Because the
understood.
module itself is like considered a structure lah, a structure.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Architect Wong, is that means that it's like the structure itself is stands alone. After that, we just slot in kinds of the PPVCs again.
Kind of,
Okay.
because they design such a actually there is a in detail on the, I didn't show the detail lah, the detail. There are a few type of detailings in the market. I think 4 or 5 types. So this one what I use is there is a module already, then there is a rod above the modules, and then the other come in, they will slot in. They were all slot in. What HDB in Singapore use, what they do, they didn't use lot. They put it side by side. After that, they cast a small piece of concrete and then they screw it. Like there's a 4 screw. They put a plate and then they screw it. Then the whole thing is considered like a structure. It's based on the structure calculation.
I see.
Yeah. So it's fast to us. It's fast.
So far, is there any because just now you mentioned about the headroom, right? It's one of the main concern.
Yeah, main
Have you
concern.
heard any feedback from the users regarding to the new types and the old the
Old type,
old types? Yes.
Actually, it's the same, about the same new and old. But in Singapore, actually, you all been to the HDB block, and we are used to it already. We used to that, not that kind of high space
Yeah.
within the environment. So actually, we can accept. So no choice, we have to accept it, because it's actually helping the entire environment, and then helping on the process, the entire process. But unlike in Malaysia, we are staying landed, then the house is all tall, and then you have like 6-meter ceiling. You can't have this kind of luxury in Singapore lah. So we are already used to this. The old HDB actually, the very old is actually 2.4 meter only. So current one is actually, when we provide, is slightly actually more already. But people, when you give more, you give more, people want extra. It's the same lah. You give 2.4, people want 2.8. You give 2.8, people want 3. So you can't do that. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. So means that in this case, just wondering, is it possible to like custom make a little bits, like let's say Lego, right? You can stack up. So we can make a holes in between so that we can make it into a mezzanine kinds of a thing. Is it possible,
Can.
or have you bet?
Possible. Current one, the first stage, the first project when I did the Gurkha one, actually everything cannot lah. That time, the period is, I think it's 2013. Is the first project lah. That one is the first 17 project. I think now the latest one, they reach until 40 story already. The high-rise building. Yeah, the PPVC for 40 story. I think just completed the latest one. Yeah, there is a lot of communal space opening, then mezzanine floor. Yeah, with all the structure lah. I believe there are a lot more if you all have a chance to explore it. There are a lot more things can do. Actually, currently it's still within a same size. So maybe you all can have maybe a box out next time here and there to connect. Yeah, I believe definitely can do lah. Yeah, the old type that I did actually cannot. A lot of constraint. Yeah.
Still exploring the.
Still exploring. So it's like that one. Yeah.
So basically, this is just made from concrete, or do you have like other material, like for example, lightweight steels?
Steel. The one, the PPVC, the first one, the Gurkha one, is based on, this one is aluminium cladding at the front, and then inside is wood, dry wood. No, not dry, plywood.
Plywood.
partition. It's just a partition. So entire thing is a steel frame and then with a plywood, and then I clad with cladding. This is
So
lightweight
yeah.
lah.
So the effect, I mean, when we walk in, right, the finished product, so it's same as the conventional one, or how about the insulation, sound insulation issue?
This one, I received some feedback from the user. There is a noise, some sound insulation issue. So actually, from this project onwards, I actually never use the drywall anymore. This one got another issue is because of the whole thing is a structure. So only certain area that we allow the user can screw through. You can fix your TV. So that is the limitation. But the latest one, with the concrete, I think subsequently all are using concrete already. Concrete one is much better. This one, there is an issue last time is like I have to mark for them where you can open, where you can screw, because you can't go and screw later the structure, the whole building collapse because the entire module is considered a structure. Yeah, that is a constraint last time lah. But all these constraint, the constraint is based on case study law. So a lot of people come to this building and make a case study. So they study, and then they research, and then they make it better lah. So that is what we want. That is what we need architects to do that. Yeah, to try to explore something. But it's based on experience. I have to do this, then I know there is this constraint, then I tell someone else, and then they go and explore next time when I do, right? Everywhere I can mount my TV. Yeah, something like that. So for this house, the first project that I did, there is a limitation. So they can't change their TV location. Like your house, sometimes you want to twist your TV here and there, right? Yeah, for this house, unfortunately, they can't. Unless they buy those stand, then they put on the console, then okay. But if you want to mount, you can't. Yeah.
So for renovation wise, it's also restricted lah.
Restricted. So for this project, I need to come up with a renovation manual. So they have to, based on that, next time if you want to reno, they have to follow. Yeah.
Okay. Very good informations on the PPVCs. Okay, students, anyone? Last chance?
Yes, Dr. PC, I have a question.
Okay.
Architect
All
Wong.
right, sure.
Because just now, Architect Wong, you share about strategies like water, waste management. So I have a question, like let's say now we want to use a new method or new technology. How do you ensure that it is appropriate or suitable for the site, for the project? Because maybe in work we can get advice from consultant, but in studies, how do you ensure that the new technology or the new method is suitable for the project?
Okay, I can't say you must use every single item was suitable for every project lah. Okay, so is sometimes it's based on experience, and then as well as there are something called pre-design simulation. Okay, like just now I show you all the CFD simulation. For example, like just now you mentioned the technology. Like for example, this one I want to make sure that the wind flow. What I do is I can run through a simulation. So based on the simulation, it's actually give me that idea whether this design work or not. So if I know the design doesn't work, I cannot die, I must use this. I will have to twist a bit, I have to change a bit so that I run the simulation again, make sure that I get all the blue color, all the green, all the wind flow throughout. So that is what we have to try and error, see whether something that we use, it works or not. But for certain thing like BioCell is one of the technology I use. That one is because of based on the area. If you go and study in detail, there is a guideline on all the in Singapore we call ABC, but I'm not sure it's active, beauty, and clean water. So there is a guideline on all that, all the design we want, and based on the BioCell, how much area I need, what is the depth. So I have to achieve all those requirements. I see, on my project can use, then I use. Yeah, so there are certain guideline on certain items that you want to use before you can put into your project. Like another example just now I share is the photovoltaics, right? So you know that if your site don't have a lot of area for you to put in the photovoltaics, then no point, because you are not at a set of like, we are architect, we are not like creating a problem next time people want to go and maintain the photovoltaics, right? So yeah, I hope I answer.
Okay, thank you, Architect Wong. Senior. All right. Okay. So how about other students?
I have another question.
Okay.
Sure. Okay,
Okay, Architect Wong, it's about flexibility of the internal spaces. You said that the housing unit is made up of multiple modular units, right? So what is the possibility of once the housing unit is constructed with multiple pods, multiple modular units, what is the possibility of removing the walls and expanding the spaces inside the modular house itself?
How your question is how modular is it? I can remove the wall, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So to be honest to you, if we are using a PPVC, like I said, the design at the first part is important. We can't halfway through. I said, you remember just now I said this bubble diagram, right? I can't halfway through. I said, oh, this bedroom and the living room I want to swap. It's not possible lah. But if you are using PPVC like this module and I connect these two already, if I want to at the beginning stage, I want to open up this living room and bedroom to make it like the entire big living room, you can do that. Yeah, at the beginning stage, you design for it. Yeah. But in terms of renovation, like normal house, you want to go and knock down the door, to be honest, it's not easy using PPVC. But it's still possible because it's depending on the calculation. Like example, like I say, where is the location of the design on the steel column or whatever concrete location. Yeah, because based on PPVC, we still based on the idea on shear wall and the column, depending on the supplier lah. Because there are a few supplier provide. Some supplier they design it as a column design, like the structure at the corner. And then actually, if this is a column, even though you can't see, it's a whole module. The calculation based on this steel, they connected, and then there is a joint over at here and here. So this part you can't remove, but the rest of the wall actually you can tear down because it's not a structure column. But some supplier they did is like a shear wall. So this whole wall actually they design very, very thin. They can down to now I think the minimum is 75 only. You know, last time we have a wall, I need to do it 200, you know, the first project. The latest one is only 75. You imagine the 75 and 200 around it, how much space you save on the internal already. So as the technology grow, we see how much we can help, and then how frequent the user wanted to reno the house Yeah, it's a yes and no lah. Not all you can tear down, but it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Thanks for the answers, Architect Wong. Okay. So I assume no more questions now. Okay. If you have any question, probably you can message to me
Yeah,
or maybe
you
to
can
Architect
send
Wong
to
as well.
me.
Okay. Email. Yeah. Then hopefully Architect Wong you have spare some time. If there's any questions, can answer the students. Yeah. Thanks for the sharing. Okay. This is the informations. Okay. Of Architect Wong's. Okay. So you can trying to note down the emails. Okay. All right. So here comes to the ends of our lecture input series 3 and 4. So once again, thank you very much to Dr. Noor Ida and Architect Wong Teck Yong for your sharing and insightful sharing and comprehensive sharing for our students. I think that is very helpful, okay, for us to learn about the new sets of the skills as well as the knowledge regarding to the regulations, okay, in housing. Hopefully, in the futures, we still have managed to have chance to get Dr. Noor Ida and Architect Wong to join us and giving us more inputs. Probably next, maybe Chris as well. Okay, Architect Wong, so you can feel free to join us. So, yeah, maybe we could have one photo session, okay, with all the students. So, students, do you mind to switch on your camera? Okay, so before that, please trying to fill in the, what is that called? The attendance list. Okay, so it's in the chat box. So architect. So, now. Okay. So, right, 1, 2, using Office PC with no camera. Okay, understood. Right. Let me adjust for a while. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Noida and Architect Wong, okay, for your sharing sessions. So here we end the session for our input lecture by today. Okay, thank you very much. So see you again.
You.
All right, Architect Wong. So
Bye.
for students, MBS 1019, so could we meet back, okay, later after 5 minutes, okay, around 11:50. So I'm going to give you a quick briefings regarding on the manuscripts. Okay, so we have a rest for a while. Fill in the attendance. Okay, share again. All right, so it's in the chat box. So please fill in your attendance if you haven't filled in. All right. Okay, see you later for pre-thesis 1. So for the other thesis and pre-thesis 2 students, you may join the quick session with your respective lecturers. Okay, thank you. See you later.